All right, guys, seriously, my guest honestly needs no introduction, but this is truly one of the greatest people I've met in my life, and I'm not trying to be corny or bullshitting. This guest is such an influence, such inspiration, such a hard worker, and honestly, he will forever be one of my influences the rest of my life next to my family. This guy, I have so much respect. And when I made this podcast, I knew one of the goals that this guy had to come on because honestly, his work ethic has inspired me to make this podcast as best as it can be. So with all that, I am so honored to have this guy on. This is one of the greatest people on planet Earth ever. This is none other than the very talented Gabriel Mills. What's going on, Gabe? How are you?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction. Thank you, man. I'm doing
Seriously.
good. The sun
Oh,
is out. I'm alive. I always say when I wake up, for me, that's further affirmation that I'm supposed to be here. So every
mhm,
day I wake up, I could have died in my sleep. I could have
mhm.
woke up, not made it to the studio, but I'm here. So since I'm alive, I know that there's a purpose, just me being alive in general. So everything is great. It's as good as it could be. And the sun is out. And I have water. You feel me? And I have a
I got one.
studio. And I have paint. And I have a friend to talk to. So what more could I ask for right now? We good.
And that's what I'm saying. Stuff like that just creates good vibes and such a work ethic for me and just being the best person I can be is because of my great friend Gabe Mills. And as we see to start it off, and I try to make my studios cool too with this podcasting, and we have your studio. So first, like to introduce you to the great listeners of the Productive Conversations podcast. Gabe Mills is a artist. He is specifically an illustrator and painter, if I'm correct.
No more illustrator. I studied illustration. I
Studied
studied illustration
illustration.
in undergrad, but it's really just painter, artist, illustrator. I'm not opposed to the term, but that's not the discipline that I've been a part of, but that is the thing that I studied when I
Sweet.
was an undergrad. Yeah.
So at this moment, so you did your undergrad, and can you tell? I know where you are, but oh well. Let me say, Gabe Mills is at Yale University, and he is uh, studying for his master's at Yale. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. My MFA. Yeah.
And you'll get your MFA from Yale University. So I have my first ever Ivy Leaguer right here, and this man, and so painter. So that's your thing. You'll get
Yeah.
your MFA in painting
Yes. Painting.
and rise the ranks as being a great painter, which you already are, and already well before that. Just another option to gain some more knowledge
Yeah.
and strengthen your craft. I get you.
Yeah, man.
All right. So look at this, man. And my man sells paintings. He's learning from the best. And like, wow. Look at this. So why don't we first things first, we get into your artistry background. So Gabe, what are you working on right now with painting? And can I just say
You
one
know,
thing? If before we get into it, where can we find your work most of all? We can find it on your Instagram or stuff like that.
so the internet, I don't like the internet really, but I know I have a love-hate relationship with internet because I know, especially during a pandemic, it'll be difficult for people to see my work in person. And with that, I've been trying to think of ways to negotiate my relationship to the internet platforms that I don't really like too much,
Yep.
such as Instagram or websites and things of that nature. Not to get too long-winded, to answer the question, most of my work, you could find it on my website, gabrielmills.com, or on Instagram. I post things occasionally, but it's really not optimal. It's
Mm-hmm.
compromised so much. There's a dense materiality in the work that is never experienced the same way online versus in person, but also just online. I just don't show too many things. There's a
Yep.
certain, it's just not hasn't been my thing, but we're working on it. We're working on it.
I hear you. So, but okay, great. And we could just find your stuff at GabrielMills.com, and we could find where you're at in this world, whether in New
But what I will
Haven.
say, if anybody is interested in speaking to me, email me. We could work something out.
Great. What's that email?
It's GabrielMillsArt@gmail.com. If anybody wants to see other things I'm working on that, you know, I might not have online or something like that, just email me. We'll talk.
Great. So, having said that, and transitioning back to our original question, what have you been working on with your work right now? What you been working on?
I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
When you say, what am I working on? What does that mean to you?
So at this moment in time, are you working on any projects, any paintings, any showings, anything to get ready for 2021 and beyond? What are you working on in that sense? Like after this podcast, are you gonna start grinding on something?
Pause. I'm always working. But what I wanted to
Okay.
say, I want to get into the root of the question, and I'm not trying to be difficult. There's just
No, I encourage it.
I'm interested in the premise of this. When you ask that question, do you have a certain expectation of what I'll respond with?
Not at all. Whatever the answer is, the answer, no matter who I'm talking with. And I'm always interested to see what people are doing with their time, and whether it's to make themselves better, make their craft better, make maybe some people are just working for their family or loved ones. I'm interested to see what simply people are up to, and I'm ready for all answers, and I encourage the best type of answers, no matter what.
And now, the next question, What is right now? What does that mean?
I would say today, when I'm referring to what you're working right now, I'm usually referring today, and that the very moment. If we're talking about what you're doing right now, what are you planning on this Sunday? Like I said, what after this podcast, are you going to be working on a new project or such like that?
Yeah. Right now, I'm focused on Matt Brown. Right now, I'm focused on breathing. I'm focused on being alive, and I'm trying to be as present. Actually, I want to remove try. I am as present as I possibly could be, and I'd like to be more and more present. I realized, and this is a thing that incrementally I learn more and more each time. You know, there's a saying that is, you make plans and then God laughs at you.
Yep. Tell me about that.
I could tell you, today I plan on X, Y, Z, but get hit by a bus. You feel me? And then it's all, it's not going to happen.
You're definitely right on that.
And also, when I think of right now, I'm curious what that means, because people have asked me for, what are your new paintings? Or what are your best works currently?
Yeah.
And for me, I know what the thing is, I know what they're trying to, I know what they mean, but I don't think they know what they mean. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I can't get you what you're saying with that, because it can't be open-ended, but every little aspect of what we do will somehow contribute to maybe our passions, maybe our things we're working long term. For example, like if you're asking me what I'm doing, I'm obviously doing a podcast with you. But another way I can answer it, I'm just simply catching up with one of my great friends in this world beyond that. And that's only we're just growing our relationship, but we're also just lucky enough to create content at the same time within that. Like, you know what I mean from that?
100%, absolutely. The question of right now is, for me, is worth thinking about, because
let's get into that.
For some people, right now would relate to a certain set of conditions of things that they might be focused on via media or internet or a certain kind of circumstance. That's right now for somebody else. Right now for somebody else might refer to another set of circumstances. And then right now to someone like me might literally be this present moment. And then also to the person asking the question, right now might refer to the past 2 weeks. That might be right now. Or the past month might be right now, because the work that you're doing from this November 6th to December 6th, that might be categorized within the frame of right now.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to be long-winded, but I think it's interesting to just think of what our intentions are when we're asking questions and what we hope to get out of them. So to answer your question, actually not to answer your question, to further this tangent and complicate things, if one was to ask me, what am I working on right now? I told you, I think I know what they mean, but I don't think they know what they mean. Because I believe since they're asking me who is an artist, who is a painter, who is prolific in the things that I make a lot of things, they're expecting to hear a certain set of ideas that tie into the paintings I'm working on. That's like the thing that they're anticipating. The way that so they're expecting like a product or an idea or something. But for me, what I'm working on right now more than anything is breathing.
Yeah.
That's totally intangible. There's not actually the product that comes from me breathing is me.
Yeah, you can't do anything if you're not breathing, right? So
exactly. So the focus right now is breathing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm working on more than anything.
Yes, especially nowadays where health has to be really, we have to really be responsible for. We do need to focus on those little things, especially breathing.
Well, the thing is, it's not little, but it's treated like it's little. I literally can't do anything if I don't know how to breathe. I can't do anything if I don't drink water. I can't do anything if I don't know how to take care of myself. You say I'm getting a master's in fine arts, but you can't be a master's in arts without mastering the art of living. And to master the art of living is to learn how to breathe, learn how to eat, learn how to drink water, and learn how to secure yourself and secure the ones you love and protect the things you love and defend the things that you're willing to defend for. You know, that's very, very important. So that is a very, very high priority that is often pushed aside somehow through our right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it really relates to when I talk about storytelling. My ultimate thing, I think my ultimate purpose right in this earth is to be a storyteller. Depending on what that medium is and the ways I like to tell stories, obviously talking is stories. We have to talk to each other. So, I'm very interested in short stories and screenwriting, and I still am pursuing that as much as ever. I still write even on the times I don't record a podcast. And then another way is obviously this medium is podcasting, because at the end of the day, these productive conversations are ways to tell stories, to help inspire people, show my creativity, and just show how interesting even the regular person is. So I can't do all of that if I don't live life. They say, how could a stand-up comedian be good if he or she doesn't live? They can't make jokes about not living life. Yes, he, she, or they, as long as they are not living amongst life. So I need to live my life before I can master anything, even with my degrees. And then from there, I could tell stories about all types of people in this world. And that seems very similar of your right now moment as well, because we can't, no matter who we are, we can't, isn't, as we like to talk about, does art imitate life or life imitate art? At the end of the day, life is in both those statements, and you need to live life to figure out what that art is,
Absolutely. And everything I am right now is a synthesis of everything I've experienced. It's all building up, everything incremental. So every one little breath matters to me being who I am now. Likewise, every instance in my life, every interaction I've had, every interaction that you've had as a person who's making podcasts and storytelling, every interaction you have to hold on to it. I don't want to say hold on to it in a way that, I'm not going to say that. Hold on to it as a means to be sensitive to the information you're receiving, so that you could, especially as a creator, so you could repurpose it or tell that or put it in some platform for others to take from it.
Right.
So I feel what you're saying. I think, that's all I have to say about that, I guess. My bad. Did you ask a question that I was supposed to answer or not?
No, you did answer. You answered it in your way. When it comes to asking questions, remember, when I do this podcast, it's not an interview. I mean, technically, it is in the interview. You do mark it as an interview podcast, but but it's more conversations, and the way I ask questions, it's up to the person I'm interviewing, whether he, she, or they answer it the way they want to answer it. And then we'll just bounce around from there, you know?
But you know what? That's the thing. A lot of conversations I have, I really do believe when people be talking, they be trying to, there's like a predetermined place rather than
Yeah.
rather than us trying to create. When we're talking, we're creating something. So if the premise of everything I ask or talk about or topics I bring up, if I already have a predetermined place of where it should go, then I might not be learning anything. And I might just be trying to throw the conversation into it's like a hypothesis or something. Like, let me test this out. I haven't, if I say my favorite color is red, Matt is going to respond and say his favorite color is blue. But then when I say my favorite color is red and you say, I don't have a favorite color, my brain goes all crazy. I'm like, whoa, he broke the expectation. And I don't know what to do. And then you have like arguments and stuff like that. But I think conversations, that's why sometimes I'm not so much interested in answering a question directly rather than I am considering the question itself so we can have an open conversation.
Yeah. If I were the...
Oh, my bad, go ahead.
No, you were saying? So I'm
in my studio, right? And I have a lot of stuff in here, but I had a canvas that had a lot of paint on it, and I had it off to the side on the floor, and they had asked if this is a painting. And I totally couldn't, I knew, the thing is, that's what I'm saying, I knew what she meant in the question, but I don't think she knew exactly the magnitude of the depths of where that question could go. So instead of answering yes or no, I was interested in saying, well, let's unpack that question itself. You feel me? And I think that is a productive conversation. Whereas I could have just said yes, and we would have moved on and never talked about it. You feel me?
Yeah, no, I prefer you to answer my questions like that, or any of my guests. We need to make it open-ended, and that's where the beauty of all this comes from. Is that's what I want. All my personalities, no matter who these people are that's coming on, I want to have the open conversation, and we can't have that if they're just boring, if they answer it so directly. And if I'm trying to have my preconceived notions, then I'm just a journalist at that point. But no, I'm just a host, and I'm just showing off how interesting all people are. Because, you know, I mentioned this before. One day I would love to interview high-profile people in this world, but I still have to get my credibility, and I still have to grow as a podcasting host to do that. So one of the reasons why this podcast came to be was just showing how interesting everyone can be, like without that sounding corny. Everybody has great stories that makes them worth listening to. And I learned from this, you don't need to interview celebrities per se to people will still listen. They still like the human conversations of people, no matter who they are, honestly. They just hope that they're an interesting person. And for most of my guests I've had so far, I have found that. And it's just showing how awesome people are. And the way you answer questions makes my job easier to show how interesting people are like that, you know? When they're willing to be open-ended.
What I like about what you said and the premise of this entire thing is that everybody, what do you say? Everybody is what?
Everybody's interesting. Everybody's
but the thing is, sometimes you need a situation to pull it out, because people believe that they're worthless, or people believe they don't have value to add to a conversation. So they might be quiet, or they might overlook their own scenario as something inconsequential or something unworthy of discussing or sharing. And that it's important that the people around them could maybe pull it out. And if they have nobody around them, then it's on them. You feel me? One way or another,
it is on them.
You have to acknowledge your being as valuable. And also, this is interesting. So you ever hear the term like white people problems?
Oh yeah.
It sounds funny, but it's actually true. There's what I mean by that is that doesn't mean you should be less empathetic. Like, let's say a kid grew up in the suburbs and Pennsylvania or in Maryland or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you have a white kid, and then you have a black kid who grew up in the inner city. They do have a different set of problems. And maybe one might experience something that might be harsher in one way, and maybe another kid, they might be experiencing something harsh in their own way. But that's not to have a lack of empathy for one or the other. You know what I mean? I think.
Right. No, 100%.
Yeah, like just because you're maybe white, middle class, or wealthy, or good family, that doesn't mean I can't have that they don't have their own complexities about them. So
100%.
it's just a different set of problems that maybe someone else might not experience. But in order for us to be together in this country, we're in the United States of America. The whole thing about this country is supposed to be the idea of pluralism.
Yep.
Things coming together and us being able to have a difference of perspective, coexisting and living to one another. And I think it starts with that very premise of you saying, everybody's interesting. Everybody has something to them. Everybody has their own story, whether or not they experiencing something different than I did. That doesn't mean it's invalid. But I ain't gonna front. Sometimes the shit do sound invalid because it's not the same if somebody's mad that their mom didn't give them $20.
Okay, yeah, of course. But
it's case to case. I don't like generalizations, but I think there's a reality to just having empathy and relating to one another, no matter where your background is.
And that's the importance of also listening to people and not having any preconceived judgment or notions, because it's so true that every single person in this world is different, and every single person, though interesting, they're also complex. And that's why you need to be willing to hear them out, always know what the right and wrong things within your situation are. And you all, at the end of the day, you need to inspire the other people to show how interesting. I could go all day with somebody in the host talking to me how cool they are, but it really is up to that person at the end of the day to understand and know like how cool they are, how they can do anything, and how they can really transform themselves whatever the best way they want. And it work for some people. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for everyone. But at the end of the day, we all are human beings. We all have to support each other. We all have to understand each other. Of course, some things you can understand more than others, and you can understand. Sometimes you might understand a person's decisions. Sometimes you might not. But at the end of the day, we all really push ourselves on emotions. Emotions is what is. That's when we look at emotions, whether it's a book we read or a movie or show or a piece of art or anything. Emotions show that no matter what, whether you're in the arts. Also, there could be emotions if you're an accountant, well, if you're a professional athlete, if you're a garbage person, if you're an ice cream chef, if you're a fisherman, if you're anything in this world, you work construction. There's all emotions that get to people, but no matter what, that person has something cool about him. And I also realized that from just looking at how so many movies and TV shows have been adapted from stories we would not have heard of. And yet you can, make stories out of it. And there's also just so many stories that might be completely fictional, but they're inspired by someone's experience and stuff. So it's really interesting. And no matter where that story comes from and what platform you perform it or express it, everyone has a story worth listening to, and you can have that empathy for it. And hopefully we lead them to do the right thing, and they don't turn evil, because any human's capable of turning bad themselves also. And we hopefully don't steer them into that way and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think? Actually, how would you define evil?
At this moment,
what's evil to you?
In the most simplest terms, in the broader, I would just say an evil person is someone who deliberately chooses to do the wrong thing. I think at the end of the day, it's obvious. It's pretty obvious when you know you're doing something right or wrong, assuming you're not, under the influence or anything. But even still, there is a right and wrong thing to do. So I think an evil person is someone who chooses to do the wrong thing. What do you think is evil?
Hold on, wait. because it's such a slippery slope. Is all I'm saying is that
Right.
because with that, and I'm not trying to denounce your definition. I think this is just a very complex thing. So,
Of course.
but
Yeah.
with
Yeah. You
with
could say
that,
whichever you want. You know, that's what's
of
great about
course,
this
yeah.
convo. So.
But with that same thing, because at a certain point in time, I would have been called evil for saying the sun is the center of the Milky Way galaxy. That's evil in 1400. You know what I mean? Jesus would have been considered evil
Yeah, they
because he
killed him.
was doing the wrong thing. 2,000 years later, it's a difference of perspective.
Right.
There was a lot of people who didn't see anything wrong with barbaric behavior such as enslaving people.
Yep.
That was normal. So it's such a slippery slope, and I think it's just a very tough thing to grasp because you have to always look forward. So sometimes during your time you'll be misunderstood as what is considered right and wrong. And in the case of Jesus, I think Jesus was in the right. In the case of somebody like Copernicus, who was saying the sun is the center, I think he was right. Or maybe he wasn't right because I never seen it, but I believe the sun is the center. But he was right. In the case of people enslaving people, they were wrong. So you have to kind of, as a person living in 2020, you can't always go with what the tides of correctness means.
Yeah,
but that's not to say that the masses are always wrong. That's not to say that. I think it's just to point out that when we get too general, it undoes what they say it's doing. So people might be preaching love and preaching God, but they might be the most hateful people.
Right.
Under the terms of what they believe is correct. But somebody else might say, actually, no, you guys are all crazy. And I'm the only one seeing this. So yeah, sometimes it might feel obvious that it's obvious what's right and what's wrong. But who's determining that? Who's determining that?
You know, you've seen.
I was going to say, I have my own beliefs. I believe that there's something higher that judges all of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't know. It's tough. But I agree. I think there's certain things I could agree on, like from society to society. Nah, no society should do this thing. Nobody should do this. You know, nobody should be taking this man's life or taking this person's life, you know, for no reason. And nobody should be doing. I think there's certain universals somehow, but it's such a tough thing. And I think getting closer to it, to what we could call the United States political climate,
mm-hmm.
You know, it's so polar right now.
Very, very much so, man.
It's tough because it's that same idea. There's people who really believe a certain thing, who really, really believe, and they don't see anything wrong with that. And then there's another group of people, same thing, and it's just so far apart. You know what I mean?
Do you think there is a way in 2020 where both sides, do you think we'll ever have a chance to have a conversation to talk our differences out, especially in this political climate? Or do you think that it's going to just keep growing to no end? Like, obviously the election, it was, no, you know, obviously very close. We know what happened, and whether you agree with it or not, it is what happened. It is what it is, and the numbers don't lie. And I'd like to think that. But having said that, there's been just so much conversations and people, I mean, over the last few years, whether you're on the left of the political spectrum or the right, it seems it's been a hard time to compromise, be partisan. And having said all that, Gabe, I'd like to ask you, do you think we'll ever be able to compromise as a whole? And whether it's politically or ethically or, you know, ethos, lothos, pesos, will we ever be able to compromise or get closer to it? Or at least can I have a conversation with people, even if we disagree? Will we be able to not be looked at so horribly if we are not agreeing with someone?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I believe it's possible. Currently, there's too much generalizing apocalyptic narratives being thrown out on all kinds of sides, which closes down any room for discussion, like at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing's gonna happen with that. You know, it's like if I wanted to make, let's say I don't like Donald Trump. Let's say I don't like Donald Trump,
Yep.
and I wanted to make a painting about that. The easiest thing in the world is to make a painting of me chopping his head off, and you know I'm holding his head. But what does that do for anybody? That doesn't do anything. All that does for anybody is the people who already don't like him, like, yeah, let's go, yeah, fuck that. And the people who love him, they're like, yo, what's wrong with you? You can't do that. And then the people who don't like me, and the people who already do. So that doesn't do anything except for add fuel to the fire for the people who already have a dislike for a certain kind of persona, and the people on the other side, nothing changes. So the only way to change anything is to throw something a little more subtle in there and attempt to shift consciousness in what they call Aesophian terms, in a way that it seeps in there in a way that isn't so overt or obvious, but attempts to bring some minutia to it so we could see things clearly. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So all I could say, I don't know. I hope that we can come together and start talking to other people, whether or not you agree or disagree with them. And that's not going to happen if all these crazy over generalizing things keep being pushed out and people living in fear. And yeah, it's like the thing that you fear most is what is being thrown at you. You know, people on the right, they fear communism and socialism the most. So that's the rhetoric they got. The people on the left, I don't know, they fear whatever. And it's all being thrown into democracy and stuff like that. And nobody is able to see things eye to eye ever. And there's a little bit of truth to it all, but we have to figure it out. Like, we're here. Like, nothing is just gonna happen without this is all human intervention. Like, this is all human construct. Like, if we set these terms, then we could very much unset these terms and reshift things and reimagine how things could go. I don't like people dodging responsibility. You know, they just trying to act like we have no say in how the way of the country could go. Like, whoever wins, whoever was supposed to win, whatever, we all have to work this out.
Right. We have to work it out. We have to not prejudge right away, and just because our person isn't in a position of power that we hoped, we still have to work together amongst it. We still have to be team players and problem solvers. And I personally believe it's starting on the individuals. We won't get anywhere in change unless, like you said to me, and it's also in the movie Notorious with Biggie Smalls. The Notorious about Biggie Smalls. We can't change the world unless we change ourselves. So we have to start slowly. I know some people, obviously there's 3 tiers. One side that will not believe what I said is their way or the highway. There's one side, and then there's one side who believes I'm right about this, and then it's my way or the highway. But then there's the middle that we can hope is the majority of people who could go either way, and hopefully we could start having these ways to inspire people to be more open to listening to others, be willing to take things on both sides, and it can help grow each other as a society. That's my hope and belief, you know?
Yeah, I feel that. I just wonder if it's inevitable. Like, if it's inevitable that we'll always have a split somewhere. I don't know world history enough, but it just seems like a really, really difficult thing to make work.
It does.
But that doesn't mean we don't.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't take the aliens to come, and we all have to come as humans together to fight them off. Hopefully it doesn't get that extreme. But that day comes. Hopefully we'll be ready. And I think also this time during this pandemic's really showed our size and how we look in things. And there are people who have grown and have become much better during this pandemic. Then there's just people who are much worse. And we got to do at least what we can in our individual worlds. And then hopefully it just starts bleeding into other places, and just being confident with ourselves in that, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you on that, bro.
Yo, man. Another thing I want to talk to you, Gabe. You are a proud vegan with one of your greatest quotes in this world is having vegan powers. One of your aliases is Big Daddy Kale Chips.
It's a fact.
one of the things we met, we were former roommates in college, and your pride in veganism is really helped me be more open to the idea. And I wasn't closed-minded with veganism. I just haven't been around much vegans, but it was always something interesting to me. And Gabe, can I ask you, how is it being a vegan in this world right now? And, some people do understand veganisms, and then some people will like to parrot it, are not willing to give it a chance. How is it being a vegan right now in 2020 into 2021?
You know, the other day I said that I'm gonna stop saying all the things I don't like and just really focus on the things that I like and love and have desire for, and that will outshine any of the things that I speak negatively of.
Yeah.
But this is a really tough decision, a tough scenario, because I wanted, as soon as you said that, I want to list off all the things I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Man, all right, you know what? I'm not perfected yet, so I'll just go with it. The things, let me tell you the things I don't like. There's certain vegans that they be holding the posters up, they be throwing the red paint at the and all that, and stuff like that. That's never been me. That's never been my thing, and I'm not interested in forcing anything down people's throats. But the thing is, I could begin to understand why somebody would put up that type of fight to say that this should not be a question. It should not be a question of whether or not we're gonna eat animals or not. That shouldn't be a question. Like, we just don't. That's just not what we should do. We found ways to not do that. So why are we doing that? So I'm gonna turn up until everybody realizes that you don't need to do this. I get it. That's just never been me though. For me, also another thing I'll say that I don't like. Sometimes I don't like the word vegan only because there's been such a negative stigma around it. I think, people be thinking like I just eat grass and seeds and shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm starving, I don't get protein, and I can't work out, and I can't gain muscle, and blah, blah, blah. And that's not true. It's just not true.
Yeah.
So all vegan is like, I eat really good. Like, the thing is, people look at veganism as if it's like some second-class citizen food or something, like it's the worst food. There's no season, there's no nothing, you can't have anything. It's really not that serious. It's really not. So yeah, I mean, that's a decision I made a long time ago, and I don't even think twice about it. I'm probably healthier than everybody I know. I don't. It's fine. Like, I get all my minerals, I get all my protein, I get everything. Like, the thing is, there's just a stigma around it. But also, I have to say, the reason that this is such a common thought is because of what is being taught. That was bars. Because it's just true. Because there's people who don't ever, when do you ever get educated about foods you should eat? They show you some washed up ass
food pyramid
that got like all kinds of stupid shit on there, and they don't tell you anything about kale. Like, I didn't even know what kale was until I was in like 12th grade. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah, because I just never heard of it. All I heard was the things they had at McDonald's and Taco Bell, and all the advertisement about got milk. I didn't all that. Oh, they don't tell you anything. So of course it's going to be so totally abstract to you. The things that are being marketed to you are the things that Americans are going to eat: hot dogs, hamburgers, tacos, steaks, pizza, and that's where they've been. That's how they've been living. So I was fortunate enough to take a class in 12th grade about food. And when I took that class, I learned a lot more. And I already had an intuition about it. And when I took that class, it affirmed my intuition. And I kept going with it.
Wasn't it also true that, you told me this a long time ago, and I thought it was funny, but wasn't it your defining moment? Obviously, all these things build up to make you have the conscious choice to become a vegan. But is it true that the tipping point was just a bad thing at McDonald's? Just a bad meal at McDonald's. I was like, I'm done with this for good. I just find that hilarious. Is that true?
Yep, that's true. But the thing is, it wasn't that it was bad. It was all right. It just happened to be the last meat I ever had. Pause.
Oh, okay.
It was freshman year in college, and it was like in March 2011 or something like that, or April. It was around that time, and maybe even earlier, maybe February, or something like that. And I went to McDonald's, and it was already on my mind because I told you a year before that I was taking classes. I've been thinking about it more and more and more and more. And it was on my mind, and I remember I ate this. It was probably, what's that shit? A McDouble? Nah. It might have been
Big
like
Mac?
some chicken.
Snack wrap?
What's the chicken patty? Do they have that?
The chicken, the McChicken?
McChicken, that shit. I had a fucking McChicken. I had a McChicken. And when I was done with it, I'm like, yo, you know what? It ain't worth it. It's a wrap.
Right.
And I bowed out the game. I ain't had meat since.
That's incredible, man. And like you said, veganism is just another option, and we shouldn't put you down for it or make these jokes. Here's some.
But also, I want to say, I don't want to put anybody down who's eating meat.
Yeah, you're not like, hey, animal killer, asshole. You're not like that. And I think when living with you showed me how cool it is to be a vegan, and I was showing you with your vegan proteins and your plant-based diet, you were just as, I mean, honestly, like you said, you're probably the most healthy out of all of us, the most strong and so fit, and you did it as a vegan, and you proved that you could do it. And forever, I just have respect for vegans. My brother has been here and there. He's doing more plant-based diets. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does it. Well, makes that decision, and I support it with that. And
bro, the representation for vegans is trash. They be having, like, when you think of a vegan, you probably think of like some pencil neck, skinny motherfucker, chicken chest. You know what I'm saying? You can't lift a damn 20-pound dumbbell type of guy. But that's just not true.
Yeah, no, there's vegan
bodybuilders. You think of some hippie. He walks around with no shoes on. That's the kind of picture that they gave us. That's a certain type of person. That's not everybody.
Of course.
I wear shoes.
Yeah, he wears shoes.
Weights. You feel me?
And strong and a lot of weights too. You stay in shape with it, and you get your proteins from more of your quinoas. And you don't. Do you eat nuts as another source of protein or no?
Yeah, I eat nuts.
You do nuts. Okay, so nuts, and then you use your silk. You get your silk instead of your regular milk, and you just.
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Good, bro.
Yo, just on this cause of food, what's the worst place you've ever eaten? I love asking people this. What's the worst place you've ever eaten?
It's the worst place I've never eaten, actually.
Okay. Because
I was in Philly.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, I was out in Philly. Me and my shorty, we went to this restaurant, and after, I want you to put this in the damn. I'm gonna find it during our podcast. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna put them all on blast.
Okay.
Yo, son, it's supposed to be some uppity, upscale type vegan place, and we only went because it looked like it had a really nice atmosphere, it looked cool and stuff like that. We get there. I'm like, yo, and mind you, there's nobody in there. There's just like some crusty old white dude sitting in the back eating. That's it. we get there, and I'm like, yo, could I get a table for two? And we dressed up nice. I look good. I have my gold chain on, blah, 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 you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I get there. I'm like, yo, let me get a table for two. And the guy looks at us like, yeah, I don't know, blah, 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 you know, they ain't got nothing available. I was like, oh, for real? I was like, he's like, yeah, you got to book a reservation, and all the reservations are done.
In an empty restaurant?
In a fucking empty restaurant. And I didn't want to flip out, and so I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I said, look. I said, we only came here because it looks really nice. It's vegan. And we really like to eat here. Like, you don't have anything? You sure? He said, yeah, man. He's like, but the best I could do, if you want, you could order takeout, and there's a park down the street you could eat at. Do I look like a fucking park?
What?
I can only eat at a park.
Come on. I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry, but that's just so ridiculous. Like,
no, and so, but at the time I was tight, but I didn't want to flip. I was like, you know what? And then he got his manager, and the manager told me the same thing. I'm like, all right, whatever, We left. And me and my shorty, we were like, they was bullshitting. And I was like, we should call him back. And she was like, I'm gonna put on like a real like Valley Girl, white girl type voice.
You seen oh my God, the movie Sorry to Bother You? Put on the white people voice. It's like that.
What do you say?
You ever see I'm Sorry to Bother You, the movie with Lakeith Stanfield?
No. No.
Oh, you'd really like it. But one of the premises, it's about him putting on his white voice and helping uh he helps influence people that way. And I just thought it was funny, like you do with
It's
that.
a reality. It's a reality. If
Yeah.
you talk with a certain tone and a certain kind of language, it makes the other people feel at ease and comfortable, and they're like going to welcome them, and they're also going to
Right.
say, "Oh, they're probably not going to cause no problems. This is the type of person. This is the ideal customer. Yeah, come on in."
Cool.
So we went
So you
back.
call.
We went back. Yeah, we went back to the car, and I was like, "Yo, call him up." She called him up, and she tries to talk as like white as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and yo, tell me how they're like, "Yeah, come in anytime.
Oh.
We're good. Anytime you want, just put the reservation in and you're good." And she's like, anytime. She said, they're like, yeah. They're like, okay. And then she hung up. I was like, word. So I called him right back. I called him on my phone, and he's like, yo, I think his name is Ethan. He's like, hey, this is Ethan from so-and-so restaurant. I'm like, yo, Ethan, I was just there, me and my shorty, and you said that there was no tables available, but I just had my friend call and you told her something different. What the fuck is up? He's like, who's this? I was like, yo, stop playing games. You know this. And I called him up, I cursed him out, and I cursed his manager out because I was pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you the name of the restaurant.
Yeah. Put this restaurant on blast.
That's the worst place I've never eaten.
That's a good one.
And I just say the worst place I eat. I don't know. I have good taste, so I just have like, you know what I'm saying. I haven't had too many bad experiences. So there's nothing that stands out.
Yeah, no. The only one was me. I told this just a food stand in Cape Cod was ass horrible. It's just I remember this dude just went off. One time I had Buffalo Wild Wings that was just trash. I haven't ordered since there. So
Oh, word.
yeah.
I'm not front. Sometimes back in the day when I used to eat cheese, I would get like cheese quesadillas or something, and it was straight up just out the microwave. You know, it was not,
Come on.
Yeah, you could tell it was just out the microwave.
Yo, I hate when they do that. I hate when people water down alcohol. I know you don't drink, but like before you did you ever notice when people just like get that well and just try to water it down and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was bullshit. But you know what? I get it.
Everyone's trying to grind.
Yo, because look, when we were in college, and I know I was a couple years older than you, but you were able to see it. We were there together a few times.
Yep.
At these bars. Think about how much alcohol like somebody would be trying. You know, some people would be trying to get like 5, 6, 7 drinks, and I know there's like two sides to it. One side, they're like, yo, I don't want to give you too much because you're going to drink so much. And then also the other side is like, if I water you down, you have to buy more so I can make more money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is a grind with that.
It's kind of this fucked up balance. And a lot of times people would go to the bar drunk anyway. You pregame. Yeah. So it was bullshit. But I didn't go to the bar too much. And anytime I drank, it was really like I just mentioned. It'd be before I got there, I already drank a little bit.
Definitely. Same here with that. Oh man, I didn't really go into the bars until more my senior year. But yeah, well, there's a reason why most of them don't exist. But it was fun while it lasted, right?
Yeah, a few of them shut down, right?
Yeah, the Angry Bull's gone, I think. The Black Bear Gonzo. Man, that Hartford bar. I mean, we're sticking with that, with the Hartford stuff. What do you miss the most about that place, if anything? And
Hartford?
Yeah, we'll say Hartford, and this includes Hartford, U-Hart, all that times.
It's tough, because I haven't looked at it with nostalgia at all since maybe like 2016, which was like a year. I graduated 2015, so 2016 I still had a soft spot for it, and at this point I came to just total acceptance about everything about my experience there, from the good to the bad.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that I don't feel unresolved about anything anymore. At a certain point I did about a lot of things. So it's a tough question for me. I don't know if I have a thing I could really point to. I feel like it was just the right amount of time for me. It was everything happened the way it happened.
For sure.
Yeah, I can't say it.
That really was my thing. I guess there's really I know they say this about everyone, but I mean, you knew me when I had no confidence, was such a goober. And then with the help of you, especially really learning how to be confident and loving myself, I really did change to a much better person in college, from youth to college, and then being somebody who's just so ready for this world and who still has so much to learn and so much life to live. But college really showed me that, hey, I can really reinvent myself, be what I want. And if I really didn't have my experience with Theta Chi, damn, I would be so fucked in this world, I think. But everything's meant to be for a reason. And of course, there's a lot of heartbreaks and a lot of embarrassing stories, which is funny now. And I love sharing, and I'm love to share. I love to share these fun experiences and show how much growth from them. But there are just some silly things, but it is worth it. And that's all that frustrations is what's making me a communicator and storyteller with that. All this stuff had to happen, you know?
Bro, yeah, I ain't gonna front. It was a lot of fun happening to you specifically.
You're right.
And laugh, man. Yo, your life is a movie, son. You gonna make your life a movie? When's that happening? When's Matt Brown the movie dropping? Remember Matt Brown 2015?
Hell yeah, bro.
Just take a picture with the hashtag.
Every day. I made it up till like July, and then I just forgot. And it was funny how many unfollowers I got from that. You're so pissed. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And
I want to see that shit, Matt.
Bro, it's just, I really learned, boy, I learned if you put the effort, you could make a story from every day. And I think back then I didn't. Like, so one of my favorite roasts about MB.
Matt, real quick. Can we pause the recording real quick? I gotta pee really bad.
No problem. Just we'll just take I was just gonna keep recording, but we have a limited time. But you could just go to the bathroom and be right back.
All right, bro. So you're gonna cut this part out?
Exactly. Yeah. So with that, Gabe has to go to the bathroom, and we'll be right back. Oh, it's no worries, but all right, we're back. Gabe Mills is all set, relieved. I am too. We've been here.
So we was talking. We left off.
So we're talking about Matt Brown the movie. When's that coming out? And I'll say this. So I started writing a journal in college. Pretty much every day. Wait,
my bad. Should I have my shit horizontal?
Either way, it's fine. Either way, whatever you want.
You sure? Hold on.
It doesn't matter.
We gotta make sure your podcast looks as fire as possible. So hold up. You gotta tell me, bro.
Yeah, let's
Is it better horizontal?
Yeah, you can still see me though, right?
You told me an hour ago.
Well, I mean, either way, it still works with great content, but we're having switching it up for this part of it.
All right, for part two, we did horizontal.
Exactly. That's how we're growing with the show. All right, but yes, Matt Brown. So in college, I like to write down the funny things that happened to me. And then I wrote a daily journal in 2017, every single thing I've done. And it's supposed to be a premise to a book. And the day I move out of the house is when the book is complete. And trust me, throughout, and it's, 7 years worth of stories. And some of those stories I've turned into my blogs. Some of them have turned into short stories. And then others I want to create into screenplays, whether, actually about the situation or based on one of those stories. So I would say a movie about me will take place within 30 years. Let's get that.
Okay.
Well, I'm ready. And I have these stories and these funny things that happened to me. We could go over them. They really were worth happening at the end of the day. I'm happy all those embarrassing, crazy things happened because it helped me evolve as a storyteller. It helped me get through it. It shows that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And it's worth it. We just have great laughs out of it. It's kind of hilarious, the stuff that's happened to me.
Yeah.
And I don't really mind. We could go over some of those things, whether it's it's funny when I made that formal proposal video, only
That was fun.
instead. Thank you, man. I, I told someone on the podcast. He brought it up to me, and I said, I
The rap.
probably it was JDR, Joe Del Rio, and I said, I probably would have from the life I've lived now, what I know now, I probably wouldn't have done it. But hey, it happened, and whatever happened. But it was funny after all that hard work, Gabe, after all that like trying to, at the end of the day, I knew probably this wasn't good work, but maybe I can make this person's day, right? But
Yeah.
after all of that, in return, I take someone else who only ignores me and goes fucks another brother, or which is it's whatever. It's funny, but like, dang, man. Out of all that, that's what happens. But what are you gonna do?
Like that happened to like 3 times.
3 times maybe that I didn't know, probably, but I can't think of a you know what? Yeah, probably
I
three
don't know.
times.
I just feel like that was happening a lot, and I'm
Bro,
like, what the hell is going on, son?
well, I had the worst formal dates. Seriously, man. They were
Actually, yo, honestly, bro, you could
they were
have a
all
movie
mean.
about your formal experience. That would be
Seriously,
fire.
it was all those.
Ice on you, yo.
Yeah, man. What happened was you know.
Yo, shout out to Chaz. Chaz set it up, right? It was Chaz. Chaz dumped the bucket, right?
All right, so I'll tell this story because I don't know. This is what happened at the time. So
Bro,
I
you don't have to tell us.
no, I'll just give the gist. It's the gist. It's fine. It's fine. It's all that happened was sophomore year. I was president of fraternity, doing my best to keep everything in line. We go to do the formal. I take this person. They weren't a great date. Another one just ignored and hung out with other people. Fine. So I was like, okay, after all this frustration, let me at least get some alone time in my room. Apparently, there was a brother who was going through a lot of emotional stuff. So I was trying to deal with that. I was dealing with the police getting called on the fraternity at the where the floor was in the hotel. And I had to go talk to them and pretty much talk them into not kicking us out. And they said, if we get one more complaint, you're all getting kicked out. And then, I get in trouble. The fraternity looks bad. The school looks bad. So, of course, I'm telling everyone to stop. After my stressful night, my date ignores me. I had to talk us out of I had to talk to the police, and I have a brother going through so much shit. I was like, fine, let me just go in my room and, sleep and just get up and change. And you all stressed me out. I'll just get some me time. Trying to watch listen to my Howard Stern, I remember. At least I could get through that. And then someone opens my room that my date gave the key to my room, only for someone to throw ice at me in my bed while I'm trying to relax after the most stressful night of my life. And that's what I get. That was the thanks I got. And like, fine, it's whatever. Of course, I was angry, and in return, and I did what I can to return. And I still don't forgive all those people. Never will. But I survived from it. I'm good, and I just know karma's got my back after. After all that shit, I interned at Sirius XM right after that, and then I started my career in media. So you know what? Fine, I'll take that L, and I'll just got stronger from it. And it is hilarious from time, and I just know those people probably feel pretty awful now that we're adults in this world, and they can live with their guilt. And I just did the best I could do, but I'm still striving and whatever.
Bro, I feel you. You the real deal for that, man. I remember you came back to the apartment pissed off. You're like, yo, it's not fucking funny, man. Yo, for these motherfuckers, these people are acting with probation. We was about to get kicked off campus. And I'm the fucking president. Yo,
you're right.
I should have seen this man. I never seen him so. He was really pissed off, and I'm like, yo, he's right. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, this is hilarious.
No, you're right. It is a funny story if I looked at the broader things. And you know what? You're right. And what happened that semester, I was always stressed out because the fraternity was on probation from an incident. And if everyone fucked up, the fraternity would get kicked off campus. And yeah, and I did all of that stuff only to have iced on me at my formal after a date ignores me and people were just being dicks. But you know what? I did my job and the fraternity's still alive to this day. ZBT's not around anymore. And at least that's what I did as an individual, and the fraternity's still alive. So it was all worth it. And how bad, and at the end of the day, they knew I was a great president. I kept the fraternity alive and it's still moving. What?
Yo, they were trying Yo, bro, sorry, man.
No, it's fine. It really is fine. I'm not bothered by it anymore. And I knew I at least did my part, and the fraternity's still alive. And that's all that matters to me at that point. So.
I'm sorry, man. This was such a classic story. Yo, me and my man, shout outs to Jake. Me and Jake, we would laugh about this a lot because at this point, Jake and I, Jake graduated and I was still on campus, but I wasn't really active in the fraternity.
Right, yeah,
so
you were doing your thing.
Yeah, we were looking at it from kind of like a backed up perspective, and it was just fucking hilarious because we hear all these things, we hear about, there's like a group of people in the fraternity who don't like you as president, who try and get you.
Oh, hell yeah. There was there was a whole other side. I remember I got a text personally from this dude. I am going to do my best to impeach you. I'm like, what are you going to impeach me for? For what? Simply because you don't like me.
I always say, I ain't gonna front. You was the Donald Trump pathetic guy, son.
What? In what sense?
100%. You was the Donald Trump pathetic guy. It's just facts. Think about it. When Donald Trump ran for president, nobody thought he was gonna win. They took it as a joke. When you was running for president, everybody said, yo, he's mad young. There's no way. It can't happen. Like, he's a good dude, but he don't have it. He can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, you beat out this person, and you won president.
Damn
shocked the entire fraternity. You know what I'm saying? As soon as you get into office, everybody, as soon as you got into office, they're trying to find out of office. You know what I'm saying? Everything you do, you have bad press on you. Nobody, you was the Donald Trump pathetic guy, son.
I mean, I think I led the fraternity in a better place than Trump, who he was supposed to lead. But yes, in that sense of how many people were mad, how many already haters from the start I had, yeah, I did get into a mess. And I get into a fraternity that's on probation. But let's go with I'm trying to think of another president who people didn't like, but he actually did a good job. And we can debate on Trump's performance over the last 4 years, but but I'm
not trying to say you are like this pussy grabbing crazy dude. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I get it. You're exactly right. Everyone was against me from the start. Might as well had protests on one side of the fraternity, and I realized from there in the movie, like, yo, this stuff really doesn't matter. They really they try to get me impeached simply because I was doing the right thing. And that's exactly it. Like, for instance, it was harder for us to have parties because, well, we're on probation. And I said they wanted to have an open party. Like, no, we're going to get caught with it and get kicked out. And so I remember I said we can't have this open. And I said, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. You won't let us do anything. I'm like, bro, you won't have a fraternity to do shit if we have this open. So then I said no. So it was just all these haters and all the reasons were immature, and that helped me again be stronger in my confidence to know what to do the right thing, even if I have these people like me for the right or wrong reasons. I just did what was right for the fraternity, and at the end of the day, and like I said, Theta Chi is still alive, stronger than ever. They won chapter of the year, I think, in 2019. That wouldn't have happened if I listened to these people and kept it alive,
Yeah, I feel you, bro. I feel you.
And then, yeah, and you're right about in the formal days, just all. I hope all these women are doing well in wherever they are, but a lot of them were not like good dates.
Yeah, I feel you. I hope the best for everybody.
For sure.
Everybody, we're in fraternity. Everybody, they're good people. They just had their moments.
Exactly. And I figured all right, I'll have all these bad formal dates, but my wedding date, I'm gonna have a beautiful honey. She's gonna be
Yo,
the
bro.
the whole thing. She's gonna be all that. I really believe that.
The only way that could get topped is if some funny shit happens at your wedding. That's the next level, man. I don't know,
Man,
bro. You better
if
start going to church and praying every day that all that bad luck just went away because you got a bad man.
man, if my wedding turns out to be a disaster, well, at that point, I guess we're gonna just have to go get certificates in Vegas or something. if
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
but you know what? That's what I believe. I'm gonna have just the most beautiful girl in the world, someone I can trust, someone I'm comfortable with, someone I'd love to show off, someone who loves to show me off, and someone that can help me become a better person. And I hopefully can help them become a better person too when we strengthen our relationship. And
So, man, oh, my bad, go ahead. No, go ahead.
since I was just saying, just since then, I've had a couple cool relationships that I've really grown. They didn't work out for whatever reason, but it's only helping me get better in my dating and love life, whatever that is. And at this moment, it's as stagnant as ever. I'm not talking to anyone, not even on the apps. And when the time comes, I know that I'll be ready. And what were you about to say?
I was gonna say, going off what you just mentioned, what is your thoughts about current right now the kind of dating culture within the generation we're part of? What are your thoughts about that?
Current dating culture, Gabe. This is going to be fun to discuss. So amongst 2020 and the pandemic, and I'll say current dating culture within the last 5 years, because that's when the first time I really started dating. So
All right, that's fine.
what I've learned, I think, you know, I believe in love. No matter who you are, no matter what your orientation, I strongly believe that everyone there's meant for somebody in the dating culture in the world. No matter if you're straight, no matter if you're gay, whether you are asexual, whether you are pansexual, no matter your orientation, I think there's someone out there for everyone. I think, the way I look at it, when there are two people who are madly, a lot of people like to complain about love and relationships, and a lot. We've got some great art out of it. We've gotten some great music. We've gotten a lot of great stories out of it, from love either working out or not working out. And then a lot of people really emphasis on the not working out. And you know what?
Yeah.
I think there are people who are madly in love in this world. You don't hear them complaining. So maybe they got something right. So I think with the current dating culture is, again, whatever's meant to be will happen. As long as you are your best self, and one of the best things you ever taught me is, if you love yourself, you can't love anyone unless you love yourself. And I think once you're ready for that and be open, and also depending, we're dating, obviously people have different intentions. Some people want just a one night stand. Some people want to hook up for a little bit. Some people want a genuine relationship. Whatever it is, know what you want, be prepared what you want, be respectful. Most of all, most important thing is be respectful, and just be yourself, and it will all come together. And I think from all my dating, if you witnessed and not witnessed, and I've seen it all, actually there's still so much more growth I have to do, and still so many more experience I have to see. But I think as long as you are yourself, as long as you're kind, as long as you're respectful, no matter if you will meet that person wherever it's meant to be, and that's either from an app or somebody you meet in person. I think it's okay. Don't take it too seriously, and we'll all come together. That's my view on current dating right now. What about you, Gabe?
I I have a high skepticism about just the culture around it
Yep.
because there seems to be a rejection of the values that you just mentioned. Those are, I think, generally people participate in have those kind of values and think about those things loosely. But intention. It seems that you have your mind made up that you do want a family, you do want to have a wife and live happily ever after and things like that.
Yeah, once it's meant to be.
Yeah, when it's meant to be. My thing is, how is it meant to be? And how do you even come across the meant to be person if the climate that we're around is not catered to being in the right environment for that person to emerge? So there has to be a certain, right, there has to be a certain openness for you to be receiving. What I've noticed, and we all, I don't want to say we all, but a lot of people have been guilty of, is that they're hard pressed to find themselves open to settling with somebody who could be that person for them. And there's a amount of work that's required for someone to be vulnerable enough to trust that this could work. You know what I mean? It's just a magical thing. And with the climate that we're around, I don't see it promoted so much, like in music and film. I don't know. It just seems the where people are getting their actions from and what they think is they should be doing, it ends up being this path that will leave you totally astray away from the things you just, you know, if you listen to all these songs, it's always about, oh, I told this bitch I told her that. It's always about what he gonna tell her. If you put on any song right now that's like one of these new rappers, it's always about, I told Shorty da 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 da. Then she said, it's always about what she said and what he told her. You know what I'm saying? And that it kind of seeps in. And growing up in high school, I realized that stuff had a huge impact on like my friends at least.
Oh
like,
yeah,
they were
for sure.
always seeing like 10 girls at the same time. You know, on Tuesday I'm gonna see this girl. On Wednesday I'll see you. Blah 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 blah. Right. The problem is, okay, I'm not trying to knock anybody for trying to be polyamorous or whatever, but then there's a certain level of respect that is diminished. It's not a respect level. It's like, yo, you just some shorty I see that gives me head or whatever. And then growing up, you might be in your mid-20s still doing that same thing. So where do you ever stop to slow down, to start putting in the work, to say, maybe this could work if I work, if she works. And on the other hand, be open to saying, this might not work. We should not make this work. The best thing for us to make this work is for us to split apart. And that is the most beautiful thing that we could do, is be separate. You ever hear that song? Never mind, I don't remember the lyric, but there's a lyric that I think describes this really well. I'll remember it later.
Please remember it, man. And also remember that whack vegan restaurant too. But
yeah, I'm a whack-ass vegan restaurant. I'm gonna put them on blast. Don't ever go there.
Great. Awesome. Well, you know, having said all that, and you make some really great points, a lot of great bars, and hopefully you remember the bars from that lyric. I think it comes down, this is me. And remember, I'm somebody very late with the dating game. Like I didn't really start dating. I really wasn't with a girl until 21. So that's a really long time. That's the end of college, man. I remember one of the funny, you'll find this funny, is one of my friends from home, and I told him, like, yeah, man, I didn't get laid once as a president fraternity. And he said, Matt, you were the president of a fraternity. And, you know, looking back now, I probably, again, what I know now, that might have been different, but it had to happen that way to make me stronger, a better partner for somebody, from being so late, being the friend zone guy, being somebody. I remember one of my roommates smashing someone, or I should say, or, you know, got laid. I remember the girl text me, all like, oh my God, she wants to talk to me. She's like, hey, can you get me, I left my sweater in your roommate's room. I literally said to her, don't talk to me. I said, get it yourself. Like, that was the type of guy I was. And it was fine for what it is. And I had a lot of growth from it. Then now when I started getting confident and And then when I really hit a glow up, I saw like, oh, this is 0 to 100. This really isn't as complicated as people make it seem. So, I dated some people, and I was in some good relationships. I was in some that, could have gone differently. But all in all, I learned more about myself and things. And then, there was a couple relationships I could have on the top of my head where things did work at the right place at the right time. I learned sometimes you will say the right thing will happen, the right timing will happen. I think timing is important. You will somehow say the right things. She or whoever your partner is will feel the same way, in that almost like to call God's gravitational pull. Sometimes I think if you're someone who believes in faith or magic or stuff like that, sometimes it just is that way, I guess. If you believe in, and obviously Cuba's not real, I think just sometimes wherever life formed to have these people meet at a certain point, whether they swiped each other at this right time, or they met from a mutual friend, or they met on the streets. And I've dated girls that actually met in person too, contrary to beliefs of some people. But I think it's just a timing thing, and sometimes it just really falls into place when they say when you're not looking for something, then it's when it comes. And I figured at that point, if somebody's really down, they'll figure out a way to see you. That's one thing I learned. If somebody really wants to figure out to spend time and respect you enough to do that, they will figure out a way. And then you will do the same, and you have to respect that. And I think for just being around and like dating, I realized that, man, things can work. And also the bad things happened to me too. The very last girl I've ever met on a dating app, Gabe, and I never told anyone this, I got stood up for the first time a few weeks ago. Literally. What? Yeah. I got stood up. Bro, the day Joe Biden the day Joe Biden won the election, I'll remember I got stood up. Seriously. What happened was I was just talking to someone. I thought it was vibing. It was good. So she was really weird. She didn't want I suggested to go to all these places we can meet and stuff, and like to eat and stuff, because I think that's the best way to start. And she just didn't want to. I was like, okay. And then I was like, I didn't know what to do. I'm not gonna imply to go to someone's house, because no, that's not right. It's weird, especially at this time. So I my hands were tied, and I was just planning to go to this site in Norwalk where you can sightsee. And my plan was just to talk to them and get to know them. And wasn't really planning on to make a move. I just met this person. So I figure because I'm offering all these restaurants and bars you want to go to, and you say no. I offered the bowling alley, and you say no. So what else am I gonna do? But you still want to hang out. So I suggested to go to this sightseeing spot, and we could just like walk around there, like this little park area. And she didn't show up. She straight up didn't show up. So
did you get her back or not? What you do?
So what happened? So we yeah, I tried to hit her up, and she blocked me. She blocked me, bro. She after we made those deals, like, hey, where are you? I called twice. Then the text wasn't going through, and she just straight up blocked me. And she changed her mind without telling me. And I was literally like, you know what? What am I really worrying about with these apps anymore? What am I really about trying to find someone when you could just get stood up? So that really became, even though that was just a little less than a month ago, I just realized, wow, like, I know I'm a good catch. I know I work hard. I know I can really enlighten someone's life, and I know someone can enlighten me. So from then, I just not worrying about it no more. And I know that when the time's right, it will all come together. And, like I said, Gabe, we've mentioned I've had dates who either have stood me up or who come with me only to sleep with someone else to an event.
That's fire.
But I've also had amazing, getting on relationships that were amazing, going to a Yankee game with someone, or or beautiful New Year's Eve night, or stuff like that where things worked. Maybe they only worked, or maybe those times only worked for a little bit, but at least worked at that time. And I figured there's someone out there for me who will do those for multiple nights, and I'll just be so happy to be in their company. And there's definitely I've been in relationships that didn't work out, that I was bummed about, but I learned what I could have done better to probably, took a hard look at myself. Why didn't this didn't work out? And I realized some things that I just know for the next person, I start seeing that I will not make those same mistakes again. So it is worth going through those heartaches and trials and tribulations. And, once I got stood up, which never happened before, I was like, okay, it can only go up from here, right? And there's probably will be more days, God forbid, no more getting stood up, but at least maybe some dates aren't going to work out. Some days I'm going to probably dates. I remember I was dating this girl in the city. I thought things were like the planets were aligned and everything was working. And I remember talking to this other person. I just said, hey, I don't know if this is going to work out. And with them also implying him as someone else. And that very day, she just said, no, I'm not about it no more. I'm like, of course I was bummed, but I was like, okay, that's how it be. I can't dictate how somebody feels about me. That's up to them. So I figured from a mixture of the worst heartaches, the most embarrassing stuff with dating, and then some awesome nights as well that was really beautiful. I figured there's going to be a time in my life that I'll have a partner and things will just always click. And of course, even when I am in a relationship with them, of course, we'll have our ups and downs. We're human. But at least I know someone who's willing to work it out, put that effort, and do whatever, So
Yeah.
I know it's quite a complicated answer with that, but that's where my beliefs are, that things will come together and it will just click for whatever reason. And the reason why I was able to figure it out was because I didn't start dating until a few years ago.
Yeah.
And seeing all different sides of it,
Yeah, I feel you, bro. I feel you.
So yeah, but do you feel anyways when with that openness? Do you think that it's just gonna sometimes things you just don't have an explanation? It just happens. Do you
Yeah,
think that's
some things.
possible?
Yeah, 100%. I think you gotta reflect on yourself though, and it's not always. You know what? To bring it back, you asked me the first question, like, so what you been up to? I'm at Yale painting, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
There's sometimes we all paint, we bring our paintings to what they call the pit, and that's where we have our critiques. There's sometimes people like the paintings, and there's sometimes people don't like the paintings, or there's sometimes the conversation goes good, sometimes the conversation doesn't go good, but that's not always an indicator if the work is good. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
So it's worth listening to what happened in that situation of the critique, of anybody's feedback or anybody's thoughts about what I'm doing. It's important to think about that, but realize the world is bigger than Yale. The world is bigger than whatever fucking app you're on. The world is bigger. So, but it's important to say that since Yale is also a part of the world and a very big part of a lot of ideas that get disseminated into the world, it's important that it's crucial to think of what's happening, but that's not the only metric. So to take that back to what you're saying, somebody standing you up or something going bad, it's important to look at that and say, this is in some way a reflection of them, but there's also a reflection on me somehow. Let me try to use this as a moment to think like, what is it about me? Am I being my best version, or what do I need to improve on? Did I say something that was wrong? And sometimes you'll get into scenarios where you're like, yo, actually, I didn't say fucking anything wrong. Like, I was just being me. And so whatever the consequences are for that, I'm willing to take it. Whether that be you stand me up or you try to, lay down with me, whatever, either way, like, I'm being me uncompromisingly. So each more and more and more days that the days go by, that's where I am. More and more and more and more, I realize all that I need has been placed within me. And it's up for me to dig out and bring that to the forefront of my expression. whether or not it's agreed or not, that's not important. What is important is that I am being me, uncompromisingly so. You know?
Absolutely, man. And I did reflect on that. I was like, what was it something I said? Was it this?
Bro, it's
And
because
stuff.
you told her that you like the New York Knicks.
No.
For real.
No, we didn't talk about the sports that time.
Oh, all right. You got that on one of your profiles? Oh, I like the Knicks.
No, I got my Knicks part right in the top studio over there. Maybe she
Yo,
did
get
since
rid
I was a Knicks fan.
That's the fucking bad luck, man. You keep bad energy around you, man. You got the New York Knicks. Come on, man.
Oh
You
man,
saw
let's get into that.
Bro, look, Knicks. You gotta get it out. It's not good.
I
Just
can't do that.
clear from your mind, clear from your environment, and you'll do a whole. I bet you'll go up like at least 10 more points right now. If there's like a life scale and like it's from 0 to 1,000, you'll improve 10 points just by getting Knicks out. Maybe even more because they're that bad. They're holding you back.
You know, they announced the roster this year, and I'm just like, oh boy.
Y'all do this every year.
But
every year. Yeah, we're gonna get KD. I remember they was talking about, we're gonna get Kobe. Oh, AI coming. Oh, Paul Pierce. Every year, somebody. There's somebody. Nobody wants to go there. Derrick Rose literally was on the phone crying when he found out he was getting traded to the Knicks.
Bro, I can't turn my back on the New York Knickerbockers. Seriously.
Why?
Because, bro, I just can't. That's because
it's just being in a relationship and getting cheated on. That is what it is to be a Knicks. You're putting all your time in, all of this stuff, right? And they just don't improve. They just keep cheating on you every day. But you're just like so complacent that you don't want to walk away. It's the same thing.
I'll be 1 second, bro.
Are you gonna show us some Knicks gear? Yo, Matt, you need to cut this shit out, bro. That's what's fucking your life up.
Damn straight, bro. I cannot leave the Knicks. I just watched the Knicks one day when I was 7, and I was stuck ever since, bro. We're right here.
That's the Farm Marbury.
You're damn right it is. I've held this. This is one of my proudest possessions. Changing China right here. I mean, Stephon Marbury.
Bro, there's nothing wrong with the players. Like a lot of times they have great players. It just never works. They've had some of the best talent on that team, but it just never works.
Yes, the Knicks haven't won the NBA Finals since 1973. They haven't even been in the finals since 1999 they were in the last finals. But still, that's 21 years ago. And I can't leave the Knicks, Gabe, as much as they frustrate me, as much as they give me a headache, and as much as they embarrass me, and it has been a personal flaw. The New York Knicks are just my team, the local team, the closest one to me. Went to my first Knicks game at 9. Was Stephon Marbury, Jamal Crawford, Tim Thomas, Kurt Thomas, those guys, Allen Houston, end of Latrell Sprewell. I cannot turn my back. I was just not even my dad's not really a Knicks fan, or my brother.
Because he's smart.
I just was born watching them, and I just thought this is cool. I love basketball, and even watching players from Nate Robinson, even though he got knocked out by Jake Paul, and he was a Knick. Bad example.
He wore Knicks colors.
He did wear Knicks colors.
Orange and blue.
Whether it's David Lee's or your Amaris or Mellos and Tyson Chandler's, it's just my heart's into it. I know it's going to be a long time since we're good again. We do have literally the worst owner in the NBA probably with James Dolan. But there's just going to be someday, Gabe. I figured it took the Chicago Cubs 108 years in between World Series. And
I would have been a White Sox fan. Like, if I was from Chicago, the thing is, there's nothing cool about being mediocre. It's like if anything in my life, if it keeps disappointing every day, every year, it never meets the expectation. It never meets the standard. It don't even meet me halfway at all. Why would I keep that in my life? Sports teams is no different. People want to talk about bandwagon. It's not bandwagon. It's just being a fan of people who have integrity, people who give their all to the game. That's why I'm going to go with what they call the winning team. But Yeah, because I'm a winner. I'm not trying to be around losers, scrubs who find a way to lose every year, find a way to disappoint me every year. It's just like the girlfriend cheating on you every day. You leave. You leave. You go to the good things.
What about the day when the Knicks are good again,
Choice.
though? That's
Huh?
just. What about the day when the Knicks are good again? I mean, there was a long time where the Warriors were the NBA's trash, and then they just won 3
You know
finals
what
in
happened?
4 years.
You know what happened when the Warriors got good?
What?
I was a Warriors fan.
When Steph Curry was a pick away from the Knicks. 1 pick away from picking Steph Curry.
If he would have went to the Knicks, he wouldn't have been half the player he is. They would have found a way to ruin his career.
Do you think they ruined KP's career?
They ruined everybody's career. So just like, what the fuck?
Me and Spike are the ones staying loyal.
Look, well, the thing is, the smartest thing you could do as being on the Knicks is to leave the Knicks. That's the best thing you could do. Leave.
Look right here. I have this pick, one of my picks on the wall. Hold up. Still Spike's loyal right here.
No, he stays to the games.
Hey, he won an Oscar for this movie he's directing right here.
Look, Spike is a good dude. And he's smart enough to not support them anymore because they kicked him out of the game. You kicked Spike Lee? Like, are you serious? That man has got so much money, has 20 plus years supporting them. One of the worst franchises.
He fought Reggie Miller for us.
Huh?
I said he fought Reggie Miller for us.
Oh, he's getting ready to scrap with Reggie Miller.
I think all the NBA players all the time.
Doesn't make sense. And you know, this is a good moment. I'm gonna take this back to something right now. Just the general notion of respecting artists and respecting people who are showing support and doing what is supposed to be correct. Because that's what ends up happening. You always get shat on. Just like they shot on Spike Lee for trying to, I don't want, no pun intended, for doing the right thing. And by supporting the team, it's the same way that they'll do it to you as somebody in the industry trying to go by their rules or trying to go by the way it's supposed to be set up. And it's the same thing they're going to try to do to me if I try to go by the rules that they set up for me as an artist. Guess what's going to happen? They're gonna get rid of me in 5 years. They're going to just say, all right, we tired of you. So that's why it's really important to take ownership and accountability in everything you do and put it in my hands. Or I'm going to be holding up the cardboard. I'm not holding up no cardboard. I'm not trying to be on the damn park holding up, you know what I mean? Being broke, homeless, asking for money, no. So I try to take as much responsibility as I can for all of my actions. And I guess with that comes a certain kind of mentality that I just despise, that I see in the New York Knicks.
Bro, we could turn it around someday. You know, the Giants are having a bad 4 years, and we're in first place as of today.
And the NFC East.
We're first place. Damn right.
Because the entire NFC East sucks.
Yeah,
so it's like the idea, right? There's the idea of, it's like having the most amount of the least money. That's what it is.
The most amount of the least money.
Yes, it's like between me, you, and Brad, right? Let's say you have $1, Brad has $2, I have $5. And because I have $5, that means I have twice as much as you, and I have 5 times as much as Brad. So between us three, I'm considered rich. But in the grand scheme of things, $5 can't get you anything. No. So I have the most amount of the least money. So the Giants, they have the most amount of wins in the worst division. It's
pride.
There's no pride in that.
They're what?
Into the league into the playoffs
hosting a playoff game.
And a technicality. There's no pride in that. There's no respect. If I was playing them in the playoffs, I would run the score up.
Bro, trust the dude Daniel Jones. Trust my man Obi. He's the one. Obi's gonna be
of the field. He fell in the middle of the field trying to get a touchdown. What the fuck was that?
Hey, he scored right after though, but it was pretty ridiculous. But we got.
And yo, wait, my bad. Sorry. You know what? I have to recalibrate this entire thing. I said what I said, and I feel that. It's frustrating. Simultaneously, we forget these people are human beings. And that's another thing I don't like. I don't like that it's funny because I told you I'm gonna stop saying things I don't like, but maybe this is the last day I air out all the things I don't like. I don't like that.
Appreciate it for this show.
Yeah, I don't like that we look at athletes or celebrities, entertainers, whatever, and act as if they're
Property.
infallible, or they can't do any wrong, and as if because they get paid a certain tax bracket, or they're in a certain tax bracket, or they get a certain amount of money, that means that we now have all the right to throw dirt on them and throw dirt on their name. You know, so at the end of the day, they bleed like I bleed. At the end of the day, we're still human beings. I thought it was absolutely appalling when people were clapping when KD went down. Remember that?
Yeah, in the finals, that was fucked up. For the Raptors when he broke his Achilles, that was fucked up.
That. Are you serious? And then also, man, I just lost my train of thought. But just that idea that's crazy to me.
We put.
And then at the same time, they then get upset at him when he doesn't want to talk to media in a certain way. They then criticize every tweet he does. Imagine that kind of pressure. People can't even go to their job and take orders from their boss flipping patties. And they have the same audacity to critique Kevin Durant for doing anything. You know, they have the same audacity to critique Kevin Durant for not talking to the media in a certain way, or for not dropping 30 points on any given night, and then clap when he tears his Achilles. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put that on nobody. And that's why I respect all those players that I mentioned. I respect those organizations. I just think that they're terrible. But it's still the same thing. Is that doesn't mean that I'm going to go to the next game and throw a milkshake at James Dolan, or throw a milkshake at one of the players, or clap when they get injured. That's not right.
Yeah, we can't put too much stock whether it's celebrities or professional athletes, because you're right, they are human at the end of the day. They are just like us. And there was a time when they wasn't famous. Okay, obviously some people get famous way earlier than others, but everyone is human and we have to respect that element. It was easier for me to do that because of work, you know, being amongst a lot of high profile people, but I realized just they're doing something at the end of the day to get food on the table for themselves and their families and put a roof over their head. And showcasing their talents and prove it's like when people would used to, I don't get like people who would criticize Kevin Hart because he quote unquote went too mainstream from his humble stand-up beginnings. Hey man, why are you mad? He did the hard work. He put himself out there. If you heard his story, he had a lot of obstacles to overcome, and he was just doing what was best for him and his family at the end of the day. And we have to respect that. And that's like when watching with athletes, when they are picking new teams to go to if they're free agents, you just have to remember what they did and what they're doing is for what's best for them. And if we look at, you know, our past, especially like, you know, athletes who were treated like shit, and like things I'm talking about, like athletes who were people of color, like in baseball, like before the color barrier broke, and then once it did break with Jackie Robinson, it was a good time for like the 40s to 60s. He only played 10 years, but he just got so much shit all the time from people, and it was just hypocritical for him. And though he was bringing joy, they still judged him from the color of his skin. You know, one thing, we all, you know, the Brooklyn Dodgers moved to LA, and one of the reasons why they weren't getting attendance, you know, in Flatbush at the time was a huge black neighborhood, but a lot of white people didn't want to go there and watch their team cheer them on because they didn't want to be amongst them, which is obviously wrong at some levels. And then there were so many athletes, especially in segregated places, where they had to be in completely different hotels way farther away from the stadium they were played at. And that led to Curt Flood fighting for he didn't want to be seen as property. I don't know if you know the story of Curt Flood, great fielder. No. He basically helped create free agency because there was a timing clause where players were almost looked at as property and breaking the 13th Amendment, and he lost his career standing up for it. He probably could have been a Hall of Famer the way he was going. Played for the Cardinals, and he refused to get traded to the Phillies because he didn't want to be treated as that property. He'd rather be a free agent and make his case there, and then that changed the game for it.
Can I interject right here? Look, that's another. They still are treated like property, and it's
all athletes are.
Yeah, because since they get hundreds of millions of dollars, or $10 million, or $5 million, or you could be a bench player and still get $750,000, whatever. You know what I mean? People act as if, oh, fuck it, they don't get. That's not the right mentality. That's fucked up. And also, I was listening to Steven Jackson. Do you ever listen to All the Smoke podcasts?
No, I have. Is it good?
Really good. Steven Jackson and Matt. They invite.
Oh, really?
They invite NBA players on there. They invite all kinds of people on there, and they talk just like you and I are talking because, they can't be themselves to a certain. Well, they are themselves, but there's certain. They don't want to get distorted, and so they have they create a space for themselves to be able to just talk unfiltered amongst each other, and not have so much pushback or feedback against it. But he was saying when he was traded, I forgot from which team to which team. You know how he found out? He found out because he was in a bar and saw it on TV.
Wow.
It's that Steven Jackson traded to so-and-so. He's like, it's the first time I heard of this.
Yeah.
You see, they didn't consider what this man was going through, what his life was, and they say that's just the business. That's why I love LeBron James so much. I think, in my opinion, I think very, very highly of him, but he gets so much criticism because they criticize him for everything. But one of the criticisms that he gets is that, oh, he ain't do it with one team. Oh, he jumping around. Wah, 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 wah. No, he's taking ownership in who he is. He's taking he's taking the power back from these people who don't care about who he is. But he's put himself in such a position where they have to respect him. He is the king of the NBA. What he does, they have to respect. If LeBron's not stepping on that court, they know they got a problem. So he's got into such a position to have that much authority and influence that what he says is what's going to happen. So if he wants to go to LA, he going to LA. If he wants to go to Miami, he going to Miami. Burn his jersey all. That man he's attained a certain level of freedom and opened up the gates for other players to take their destiny in their own hands and not give it to the owner so much and not give it to all these other people, but to say, I want to play with this other dude. I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to make sure I get my contract set up. I'm going to make sure they don't play me,
Right. Yeah. And that's what Kurt Flood really stood for and fought for that. And he sadly lost his career from it, never made the Hall of Fame, but he stood up to help create the players agency and make them not property. And again, back to my point, why, Dodgers had to move out of Brooklyn. People weren't coming for obviously prejudice and wrong reasons. And yet they were so pissed when they moved out to LA, but you weren't going to see these guys. And they, again, view these athletes as ownership and our property. They had to do what they had to do to just get food on the table at the end of the day and had to relocate. Like, you know what I mean from all that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's shame. And it just really made my blood boil seeing that, especially just how awful, especially athletes who were people of color, especially. And yet they were, most of the time, they were the ones superior and leading the teams. And it's just we still have so much ways to go, but luckily we at least are father enough that we're not in that kind of level. But we still have a lot of work to do.
Think about this. In the Negro Leagues, because the Jackie Robinson thing was very controversial, because in the Negro Leagues, the only thing that was white was the ball. That was the only white thing about
the Negro Leagues,
baseball in the Negro Leagues, because it was black ownership. They were booming in business, and the MLB knew that they had to, it comes down to like that gang mentality. It's like, yo, this is my block. That's your block. Mm-hmm. But once you start making more money on your block, I got to find a way to cut in on that.
Right.
That's what's happening. And so they're like, yo, we got to find a way to do the inevitable, because one way or another, we see where the tide of the country's going. We see at one point or another, there's going to be a desegregated something. So let's make that step and knock off this Negro Leagues and open up the market for us even more. And that really changed things. And then there was no more Negro Leagues a few years after,
Yep.
But anyway, aside from that, think about that same idea. How much agency is stripped from the baseball player, the basketball player, the actor, the artist? How much agency is stripped? We're supposed to just be going with whatever they want me to do. We're supposed to be doing whatever they say I'm supposed to do. But isn't that the whole point of what art is supposed to be about? Isn't what the whole point of being a ball player is? Without just in the documentary that they released, The Last Dance, Michael Jordan was like, "Yo, I didn't see you playing with the flu. I didn't see you playing with broken ankles and broken foot. That was me. I put the team on my back. We won the championship. Yeah, y'all set it up. You made the right moves and stuff, but don't get it confused. Without me, there is no you. And it's the same thing. Without the baseball player, there is no baseball. There is no
Exactly.
without you, there is no production. Without me, there is no gallery. So
No
I'm
breathe
tired of,
with no air. There's no you either.
right, that's what I'm saying. So I'm tired of people using things as situations to leverage over and act as if I'm supposed to live in fear and supposed to bow down to the way it works. You know what I'm saying? No, that's not how it's supposed to go. So artists need to step their game up and
That's why
demand their worth.
that's one great thing about Chance the Rapper. No
Yeah.
label, and specifically no label. And he honestly just banked on himself and became one of the biggest rappers, musicians and artists in the world. And he's not stripped down from artists. Like one guy you and I both admire, Prince, and how Prince he got fucked over by the music industry, essentially taking ownership. And that's why the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah.
And he helped start that fight for the major change coming. And again, it was a sacrifice. Who knows how much bigger he could have got. Obviously, he's a legend for a reason. But we have to admire our artists who really stuck up and fought against those suits and the agencies, that they're not property. They are their own. And that's what's great also about having a podcast. And as you mentioned, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes' podcast is it's not censored or filtered, and it's just on the responsibility of the content creator to do the right thing amongst it now that they have that freedom, because there's a lot of people who fought to make it possible, and we cannot forget them.
100%. And that's what I'm saying. I'm taking the freedom for me in my position as an artist to run my practice the way I'm going to run it. So I'm not going to let a gallery or XYZ try to dictate things. No, we're in a partnership. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we are.
I provide this, you provide this. We're working together. You know what I'm saying? It's not this dominant thing where I have to just bend over and say, yes, sir. Fuck out of here. That's not what this is. But the thing that gets it messed up is because there's almost like a majority rule. So you need more people to be like-minded with that, because there's a sense of normalcy and expectation created. So when somebody comes to my studio and wants to purchase something or wants to do business with me in any way, they have an expectation built upon how other people in my environment at a similar stage in their career are at, how that should be run. And then it messes it up for me. So let's say me and you have a studio right next door to me, and there's a collector or somebody or a gallery or somebody who says, hey, Matt, we'd like to buy a painting. And you have like this big painting, and they're like, how much is it? And you say, I'll sell it for like $20,000. I'm like, no. We'll sell, no, that's too much. We'll tell you what it is. I'll take it for 5,000. And you say, really, 5? You know what, that sounds good. And you shake their hand, they go, right? Then they come to my studio and I have the big painting and they say, yo, how much for that big ass painting? And I tell them something like, I say the same number. I say 20,000. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh no, next door, we just got the same thing for 5. 20 is way too high. We just paid 5 for this. I'm like, well, nigga, if you want the shit for 5, go back to Matt's studio. The same Matt's studio
right.
Gabe
Mills. This is you.
Exactly. So that's the problem. Is continuity and consistency, and these people have an expectation like it's like a one size fits all. That's the way he wanted to run his business, but that's me and him are different. When you go to Walgreens and they sell the smart water you buy it for $3. When you go to the airplane, that same fucking smart water bottle is $8 at the
I know where that comes from.
The free market.
It's horrible. It's wrong. One of the downsides of capitalism is manipulating and taking advantage of things like that, man.
Yeah, but my thing is just to take the power into your hands as an artist. Take the power into your hands as the creator and saying, no, this is the terms. We're telling you. I'm not gonna get played and do all this, I'm very, very appreciative and respectful of the fact that people have interest. It's just frustrating when it's like this overarching thing of
we don't have to make it that complicated. It doesn't have to be. And that's one of the great things another thing you taught me is about being confident and loving yourself and showing and proving your worth. And I think that's one of the ultimate things I want to get out of my guests is you are as cool as you are. It's your worth. And I've naturally will have that for the rest of my life because of you, Gabe. And seriously, it's one of the best lessons you taught. And honestly, knowing you're good enough. That's why this podcast is a thing. It's just like, I can be good enough to have these, like the people I look up to and just make it my own at the end of the day.
One of my mentors, right? He told me a long time ago, and I never left. He said, "Don't let anybody define your world for you."
Yeah, maybe so.
Same
That to me.
It's that principle. Do not let anybody define your world for you. This is your world. This is my world. This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I just have a huge issue with that, of people trying to devalue you, because what ends up happening, it's like when people try to like buy property, they say you'll see like the president or somebody, you'll see somebody, they'll talk about, oh, it's a shithole area, you know, or it's gang infested, you know, it's terrible, right? They're putting all that propaganda out because they know it's going to devalue it. And so then they're like, oh, bet. So then they go to those neighborhoods and say, look, let me tell you, you might charge $100,000. This is arbitrary numbers. You might charge $100,000 for this house, but nah, I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's $20,000. I'll give you 20, and you could go. And they buy it for 20, and then a year later, it's a whole new community development project, and it looks amazing. And then it's all new kinds of people in there, and so they tell you what it's worth because they want it, and they want to flip it and make it more valuable. It's total exploitation. That's what it is.
I amen to that, and know that you're good.
Would you ever go to the Hermes store? You would never go to Hermes, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, or any big name store. You would never walk in that store and they tell you it's a $500 belt. You would never say, no. I paid 20 for this belt.
Like a Canal Street those times.
I do it on Canal Street though. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But
but you were saying
you want to do it to Gucci. So don't let nobody do that to you. And I don't let nobody do that to me. And we have to hold each other accountable, and we have to, you know, make things fair. I want people to be able to enter my world. I want people to be able to have access to what I'm doing. And I want to share the ideas I have with the world, but not at the cost of me being fucking bent over. My whole dignity is stripped. Everybody's trying to tell me who I am. Everybody's rephrasing my artist statement. Everybody's rephrasing the words that I put out. No, if that's the cost it is, then that's not even an option. No, art is not that. It's just like hip hop. You do what you want, and what I want is this. This is how I'm telling you what my work is. You know, the thing is, what people be trying to do, they'll ask me like, yo, tell me what this painting is. And I'll tell them, blah, 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 blah. They write it down, and then they write it on an article and say, Gabriel Mills says this. I'm like, that's not what I said. Mm-hmm. And then I'll be like, yo, you misquoted me. They're like, oh no, I wanted to rephrase it because it made it sound better. I'm like, so you're trying to act like I don't know what I'm saying. So you know what to say more than I know what to say. How are you going to tell me more about what I'm doing more than what I'm telling you what I'm doing? Take the quote. That's what it is.
Yeah.
People be doing that.
That's.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. That's where we have to emphasize it. Yeah.
Bro, I feel I've been a little negative. So we have to, could I play a song real quick?
Absolutely. Can I just say this is one quick point, and then I would love to hear something. Is all I was just saying is you have to, especially with that ownership, is we have to emphasize being our own culture, our own image. Like one of the cool things, you know, I like Leonardo DiCaprio, but you said, don't be the next Leonardo DiCaprio, be the next Matt Brown. And that was my euphoria moment. And that's where I have my own identity, my own brand. And again, even though I just said it, identity, emphasizing the identity that's yours, and the people will follow. And I've said that about this podcast. I'm just going to be myself, and the following will come. So amen to that. So, So what were you gonna play?
I don't even know if I play it, but I just needed to take a step back because I don't wanna take up airtime being frustrated.
Nah, man. This is, like I said, this is your podcast as much as mine. So floor is yours. So we thank our friends at transistor.fm to let me do unlimited. Seriously, extreme thanks to them. One thing I wanted to ask with ownership, just two things. I'm just curious about this. You know about OnlyFans?
You have a fucking OnlyFans?
No. I'll just say, no, I don't have an OnlyFans.
Yo, yeah, I know
Oh,
about it.
okay. So the thing about OnlyFans was a site dedicated for people to show their own content. Now more adult in the porn industry, a lot of individuals have gone to there to showcase their porn. Even though it's OnlyFans is actually more for anyone. I can make an OnlyFans to do if you want to pay for my podcast, but obviously one of the things has branches with porn. But some people have been very have actually lauded OnlyFans because it gives somebody who's interested in doing sex work their own platform to do it, because there's been so many things with porn, with like the porn sites that are a bit more demanding, taking a lot of pay, taking a lot of their stuff out, taking away their identity. But OnlyFans has actually been applauded for giving people who are interested in that work their own platform to do that. And I was wondering, do you think that kind of relates to what we do with what we were talking about, was showing their ownership even in that type of industry? Do you think it's something you kind of support with that?
I don't support pornography,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll
But yeah,
say,
this wasn't
oh,
a porn specific. I'm talking about OnlyFans. It happened to be porn, but I'm talking about, this is an example of somebody, even if we might not agree or like what they're doing with it, but at least they're being themselves amongst it. And that's what's cool that OnlyFans has provided. I mean, honestly, it could provide anyone who uses that platform, but especially one who's interested in that.
yeah, all right, yeah, my bad. Content aside, yeah,
Yeah.
just
Talk about OnlyFans as the only thing to give their own content to be in ownership, not the
yeah to give,
content within it.
yeah, without having to be censored or filtered or have somebody
Yes,
come in the middle and distort what you wanted to communicate, either
exactly.
good intention or bad intention. You don't even have to deal with that. It's direct consumer relationship. You know, you don't have to worry so much about that. I like that move, but then the problem is you might just get drowned out.
Right.
So the thing is with something like OnlyFans versus, I don't know, let's say a big platform like Spotify or Apple Music,
Yeah.
or if you had like a deal with somebody. The thing is, those things, the reason those people take a cut is because they're supposed to be helping you, pushing you somehow
Right.
because there's industry set up to help you. I don't want to say to help you, but that to help them win and to try to help you win. But sometimes it's like a kind of 360 deal. Sometimes those deals aren't as glorious as it looks. It's like a huge compromise, but sometimes it's not, depending on how much authority and leverage you could have on a situation.
Right.
So you might go far getting a deal with Spotify, but you also could get far just having your own YouTube podcast.
Yeah, you have to go abide by their rules at that point.
Yeah, but sometimes abiding by their rules will get you far financially. It might be able to move you along. You know, just like in my case, working with a gallery will get you far. They'll do the work for you. They will connect you to the right people. They will have the monographs and the books written for you. They'll have you in the museum's collections. That is a good thing. Sometimes there's things I can't do on my own. I need to have somebody. I need to have a platform so we could work together. My big problem is just that idea of one trying to overpower the other and not seeing that this is a partnership and not a dictatorship. And in the case that we just mentioned a second ago, I don't know the ins and outs of what an OnlyFans or what a YouTube or what a Spotify, how those like actually manifest. But I can say in my position, like a good gallery is a really good thing. A Spotify could be a really good thing or X, Y, Z. But the real idea is freedom. That's what it sounds like.
Freedom, yeah. Like that's the thing. The content aside, I should have made more of an emphasis with that. I know the stig with OnlyFans, but content aside for what provide, and again, it's not only pornography. You could do whatever you want with OnlyFans. I've seen people do OnlyFans with painting. Actually, I've seen people who have done OnlyFans to showcase collections. That's just what the majority is, and that's what's cool about OnlyFans. The organization is allowing content creators, no matter what content they're creating, to allow that freedom to do what they want, dictate what they want. They can set the price whatever they want as well. That's what I think is cool about OnlyFans. And it is interesting what it has evolved, but that's not the only thing about it. We're only focusing on the fact that OnlyFans is starting to give products, to give platforms, to get people paid for what they want to showcase. And for whatever reason, the pornography is the first one to do it, to make a big impact on it, but hopefully more other things can grow out of it. And that's what's another similar with Twitch. We're seeing that. I don't know if you can create I don't think you do so, but I know Twitch has been a great way for people showcasing their content there. Obviously, podcasting, one of the ultimate examples that we were talking about, being able to do a show my way independently and having an audience grow with it. And of course, there have been people telling me how I should run the podcast, but I'm doing it my way and been very fortunate to have the downloads and viewership. I hit 500 downloads today, and the show's been only around for a month and a half. And that's just doing for what I want to do and how I want to approach it. And we'll only keep going from there. And we still have so much work to do. But at the end of the day, the reason why we keep growing is because of what you are emphasizing, is having ownership, having your own identity, and having the confidence to show that you are good enough. And that's another thing I really want to emphasize, is that people are good enough whenever they're creating things. And I met somebody who made their own podcast after talk with me. And I said, don't worry about the work. You will have to invest in it, but you're good enough to showcase your own content and have a following for it. And anyone has that. That's with all your work you're doing. That's what I'm doing, and anyone else besides that. So shouts to you emphasizing that, Gabe, and I thank you for it.
Yeah, word. That's all. That's the best we could do. That's our obligation as artists. I believe, if there is an obligation, the obligation is to be you as much as you can, and to not bend over to what the expectation of you is. If the expectation of you is detrimental to longevity and detrimental to your projected success or your projected growth as a human being, how are you supposed to feed your family? How are you supposed to have any kind of lifespan after a year, 2 years, 3 years, going off models that have you in such a small territory that don't allow you to expand beyond that? You can't live off that. It's like what? There's a certain point you're just gonna hit a ceiling financially, creatively. And so it's important to take that, to knock those things down as early as you can to set the tone.
And we appreciate every single moment once we set that tone, seriously. And thank you. And we also support other artists at the same time doing it. We don't push it down. We can appreciate the competition and drive they give us. But at the end of the day, we have to respect great art, even from our competitors. Do you feel that way? I certainly do.
Yeah, 100%. It's because good art it's hard to make good art. In my opinion, it's really, really, it's most art is not good. You know, there's a lot of things that go into it. And this is one thing that a film director will understand. Only a film director understands how much work goes into making a film. Only a painter understands how much work goes into making a painting. There's a lot. We give so much to make it as good as it could be. So if I like a person or don't like a person, I could respect and appreciate the work and craft that's made. I'm curious what you think about cancel culture.
Bro.
In relation to art.
In relation to what? In relation to art? Funny you say that, because I was actually going to bring that very thing up next. Oh, man, I can't wait to hear your views on cancel culture, Gabe. I really, really can't. So for me personally, cancel culture, especially in terms of creating content. All right. I think when it comes to canceling someone, I think it's justified and fair when someone is canceled if they commit a crime. If they do something so heinous than a crime and ruin someone's life, it's fair to cancel them. Now, in terms of creating your art and stuff, like for instance, if a comedian who's doing a bit, not meant to be prejudiced, and says something wrong, do they deserve to be canceled? And it's a slippery slope. I think anyone is capable of creating content. One thing I think Trevor Noah once said, every joke can be funny, but it's up to you to how you view it and if you're offended by it or not. So when it comes to all that, I think people need to have more of a conversation. I was talking to somebody about this before too, is if someone says something offensive and wrong, instead of just canceling them right away, taking their career away, ruining their name and reputation as well as their families, I think we should have more of a dialogue to explain, hey, man, you said this and it offended people because of X, Y, and Z. I think we need to have more of an open conversation, especially when content creators are creating stuff to get them canceled. We've seen plenty of stuff throughout the years and great movies, art, and whatever that probably would get canceled to this day, probably as early as 10 years ago. Like, for instance, I watched the original King Kong, and they have the indigenous people, and they hired people of color, indigenous people. This is in the 30s, and it's really, really, really racist, quite frankly. And we need to talk about, obviously, no one's taking that movie away. It's there, but we need to talk about while you're watching this, be wary that this is wrong. This was wrong in the 30s. It is now wrong again 90 years later. So we need to have those conversations. And I really want to hear this from you, especially, Gabe. Should we cancel artists that have been canceled? Obviously we don't admire the person, but could we still admire their work? Like a Bill Cosby, who was a big deal, but obviously he got canceled. I think it's fair. What he did to a lot of women was wrong. But should we never watch the Cosby Show again? Should we never listen to a stand-up? How do you feel about that, Gabe?
Yeah, it's definitely case by case scenario. Generally speaking, someone could totally make great contributions to society or great contributions to art. And we look at that for what it is. Someone like Cosby impacted American culture in such a dramatic way.
Yeah.
Looking at that show, looking at the stand-up, he's contributed a lifetime worth of effort to a certain kind of art that whether or not people, what I was going to say, he set precedents. He set a standard that people have derived from, that he's impacted and influenced. So whether or not they want to cancel him, I'm 100% sure people are still borrowing content that he's created, he's planted. So are you going to cancel that too? They say, are you going to like remove all of that and just say everything that this man ever did is inherently evil? No, it's not. Because what he was doing is still the fact of the matter is. That's just like, let's say I don't like Matt Brown. Let's say I hate this guy. And everything that you say I denounce. But you could say 2 + 2 is 4. That's just true. That doesn't mean that I don't listen to that. You could still have a point. You could still have something that is factual. There's situations where the content that this person was creating is inextricably linked to the crimes that they were doing. That's not the case. Maybe it is the case. I don't know. Maybe it's arguable. But the art that was being created, we still have to look at that and say, yo, this was great work. This influenced culture so much. And we have to take it for what it all is, the entirety of it. I don't say turn a blind eye to it.
Of course.
But you look at it for what it is. That's how I feel generally.
And having that dialogue, as you said, and another artist to talk like Woody Allen. Now, Woody Allen's been accused of some really awful stuff. But it's hard to say, but he's one of the greatest screenwriters to ever live, and he has so many great movies on the human spirit ever since as early as the 60s. And honestly, there are some of these movies that I really like. He was really good at capturing the human spirit and human behavior. Like whether
Yeah.
it's Annie Hall with Love. I think that's an awesome movie about love. It's not a love story, but it's also a movie about love, about falling in and out of love. Um, that won many Oscars, stuff like that. There's Midnight in Paris is a big one that came out 10 years ago, just talking about fantasy and realities. But he's just the stuff he's been accused of when it comes to assault and stuff, like it's just heartbreaking that someone would do all this. And but should we, take him away? Can we still learn from the movies? We can't learn not from the individual. Can we still learn from his writing? And I think you make a great point. And you said it before, great art is great art no matter what. Depending on the artist, what they do, and we can have this, this chat about can you still appreciate the art but not the artist, and even if the artist did some stuff like that. But I think you make a great point with that, and we could still learn, but we could still have that dialogue to say why, this person, why he wrote what he, she, or they created still could be, they still have a past that you need to be wary of, but we can still learn from it too, like.
I agree. Who's perfect? Show me one person.
No one's perfect.
Just like what's his name? Jesus. During the, I don't know, I'm gonna get the story wrong, but there's a story in the Bible, and it's something to the effect of where everybody's getting ready to stone the adulterer, and Jesus pull up and say, "Yo, if you never committed a sin, then I permit you to throw a stone." Everybody had to drop their stones.
Yeah.
Because they committed a sin. So who are you to make all these judgments and remove? Sometimes that's what I don't like. It becomes this way, this blame game, but you're not reflecting on the wrongs you've done yourself. Okay, so the next point, you have to ask, if this person is such an evil person, who I don't even want to use Woody Allen, any just generally, if this person is such an evil person, you have to ask how much of that evil was being mixed in with the work that they gave us. And is there actually things in there that we should not look at or censor? I'll say no 10 out of 10 times. I don't think you should censor things. I think you have to look at it for what it is. Maybe since you now have this new information about a person, you reflect on this with a new set of eyes to look at what kind of things comes out of a mind like this. But it's not necessarily doing something and watching something and listening to something and reading something doesn't mean that you like it. It doesn't mean you're championing it. I could read Mein Kampf by Hitler. You could see it in my studio. That doesn't mean I believe anything that this man was talking about.
Right.
I could read thing. I could have the fucking Art of the Deal. That doesn't mean I like Donald Trump. That's what I don't like. When you say cancel, people just try to erase it as if it doesn't exist and as if you shouldn't learn from these things that these people are doing. They're laying it out for you, exactly what they think, exactly how they feel. You should study that. You should be aware of how those patterns occur and then also how it manifests in art. Was a certain type of aesthetic developed from this kind of way of thinking? Was a certain kind of screenwriting developed from this way of thinking? Where of that negativity that this person carried in them transcribed in the art that they provided for us? And how do we move forward and maybe not even use that? But that doesn't mean you delete it. It doesn't. You can't delete it. You have to look at it for what it is.
Yes, exactly. You have to look at it what it is, and you have to learn from it. These people, it's so easy to cancel people you never met. It's so easy. Again, everybody has everyone's made mistakes. Everyone's done stuff they regret. That's part of being human. And that's one of the tough things about celebrities. Essentially, if you're a celebrity now, if you mess up once, you'll have people try to ruin you forever. And it's a lot of pressure for probably someone who's high profile like that. And they have to take everything with a grain of salt. And that's probably one of the things Jackson and Barnes is probably, being wary of, as you were saying, that people to put way more eyes on them too, because people just want to pounce at someone and mess up to make themselves feel better. But you have to remember just to be responsible for your own actions at the end of the day. And if there is something bad, we learn from it. This pandemic, whether you the million things you can talk about regarding the pandemic, one thing we can do, it happened. We have to learn from it, and we can't start claiming blames. We have to come together to beat the enemy in this. And as you were saying before, we just need to learn from the mistakes. And as I said, whether the mistakes a person made and then created content after, the mistakes in handling the pandemic, whatever it is, we have to learn from it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You have to learn from these things. You have to be able to move forward. But there's also points of no return where you say this
Right.
person is detrimental to society and we can't have this person around.
And that's fair for those who truly get canceled like that, the Harvey Weinsteins of the world and stuff like that.
Yeah, or people who's going around like on a killing spree or something like that. There's no redemption. You have to find your redemption with God, not with our society. Just go to jail. You know, like you can't. There's too much. There's a point of no return. It's not everything is so easy decision. It's an easy decision to put someone in jail who's done crimes that I just mentioned, who's gone and killed a bunch of people. That's an easy decision.
Yeah.
Not an easy decision if somebody wears a Trump hat and says, I support Donald Trump, and therefore you cancel them. That's just what they think. That's what they believe. I don't think that means you throw them in jail, and I don't think that means you don't ever listen to anything they say or anything like that. No, that's just their opinion. That's just what they think.
We just have to be aware of it and make sure you yourself, make sure you do your best to not.
But also, sorry, one more thing. That's why, just the last conversation we had about controlling your own narrative and controlling your own content. You ever see the Allen Iverson interview when he's talking about practice?
Oh, of course. We ain't talking about practice.
Yeah, but they try to make a mockery out of that. That was actually a very serious.
Yeah.
He had the full 30-minute clip. He's sitting there saying, "Yo, I don't want to be here. My homie just died. Yeah, I got my daughter going to school and the damn teacher is asking her about your daddy getting traded. Yo, I heard your daddy's getting traded. I heard you move into a different city. Blah 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 blah. All her friends is asking about." He's like, "Yo, why does my daughter have to go through that? Why y'all asking me these questions? I don't want to be here. We just lost. I'm the MVP. I'm the best player in the world. I have to deal with this. And y'all talking about practice." And all they focused on was the 30 seconds of he's like, "We talking about practice," and they made it into a joke. But if you watch the interview, by the end of the interview, that man's trying to like hold back his frustration with these people trying to throw all this at him. And that's what we be going through, man. We have to. That's why it's important that we in an age where I can control my narrative, and you take it for what it is. And there's still going to be outlets who's gonna distort it one way or another. But the truth is at least there if I'm creating it, and somebody's gonna have to decide for themselves. There's always gonna be a group of people who are just gonna go with what everybody else is thinking. There's also gonna be another group who just rebel against everything they see. And then there's gonna be those who actually look to see and read and see what actually is. And that's the best I could do, is give you what it is, and you take what it is for you. But don't just run and think with your head chopped off. You know, actually sit and reflect. That's all I would ask anybody.
I hear you. That's like also LeBron with people are, it's always talked about the time, yo, is Bronny Jr. doing this because they want to see him to play with his dad? He's like, yo, my kid, he's like, my child, first of all, why do you care about my child? Ask me about the game. And second, he has to worry about his science fair project over whether or not, depending on where he's going to play this summer. It's stuff like that, again, we have to be wary. And as you said, people, you don't know what everyone's going through and stuff. And like you said, that whole 30 clip with Allen Iverson was just more a plea of a reality check than you're just talking about. We talk about practice when he was talking about that serious notion. And I can't agree with you more, man. And, sticking on this NBA subject and players, I have to talk to you about one of our influences, Kobe Bryant, one of the guys who helped our, really helped our relationship. We talked about Kobe all the time, and we were there, the college, when he retired in 2016, and unfortunately, the world lost him in late January. Him, his daughter, and 7 other people in a horrendous helicopter crash. And every once in a while, it still hits me that one of our major influences on not only in sports and life. He's no longer on our earth, and he's making his impact elsewhere. But bro, can you talk to me about that, what Kobe meant to you, and what he means to you now that he sadly no longer with us, but his legacy lives forever?
Kobe embodies Kobe embodies the mentality that I will fear no man. I will fear nothing. And
Mamba
everything,
mentality.
yes, everything that I need, I have it within me. And I have the power to move past anything, anybody that dares to try with me. I will win. I will come on top every time. And you know how? Because I'll be so obsessive that I'll be in the gym all day, all night, and I'll come back at 1 a.m. to make sure I won't sleep just to make sure I win that game. You know, I had a bad game this other day. I'm gonna make sure I drop 81.
Mm-hmm.
He embodied that. Learning and seeing that, and just watching him as a player grow up. It's like, man, that's everything. That was everything that me and my friends who really looked up to him, we really got that. Because that's how we felt. And then seeing somebody do that, seeing somebody go hard, play with broken, torn ligaments, torn fingers, broken fingers, under any circumstance, he's like, no, this is all in my head and I will overcome. He embodied that. And still to this day, I have him in my head all the time when I'm working. And I start to feel like, oh man, this is really tough. This is difficult. It's almost one of those things that it's like, what would Kobe do kind of thing?
Right.
If Kobe was in this room with me, he would say, yo, stop being a bitch and get to work. You know what I mean? So Kobe lives on. It's with people like that, they're totally in spirit. What I mean by that is he'll never die because of what he meant to the world and what he meant to NBA and what he meant just for life. You can learn so much from that man.
Absolutely, man. Can you tell me your favorite Kobe moment, or some of your favorite Kobe moments?
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, man. One of the most inspiring things is seeing him drop 60 on his last game.
Right? Against Utah Jazz.
Against the Jazz. I would watch that game. I've seen that game so many times. I would just watch highlights of it every now and then. Like, there's a certain point I'd watch it like every week or every day because it's just like, to do that, that means like, the thing is, I've always said, by the time when I'm on my deathbed and I'm about to die, I don't ever want to have the feeling of regret or pulling punches or holding back or not actualizing my potential. And if I was to die like today, I'd be pissed off because I actualized everything yet. And seeing Kobe drop 60 on his last game, where usually people on their last game, they don't even play the whole game. They'll like come out in the second quarter or third quarter. They'll just go light, people giving them easy baskets. From the day he came into the league to the day he left, he was 100 all the time. And in that moment, in that last game, that was like the perfect embodiment of that. Last game, 60. People don't get 60 in nobody, that's not,
you know, this is the last time he's on the court. So I was like, I've given it my all. If this is the last you'll see me, even with this Achilles probably ready to snap, I'm giving it one more time, Yeah.
And then right after that, he wins the Oscar. He was just getting started. I say one of my second favorite Kobe moments, I was listening to an interview he had after he retired, and he was like, yo, my job is that these 20 years I was in the NBA, my job is to now be better than that, and to keep going, to realize that this is not just my life. My life is not just that. So now I have to apply the same mentality towards story writing, towards animation, towards film, towards these other creative outlets that I really see that there could be a huge impact and dent on. When in that interview that he was having and said that, I was like, yo, that's amazing. It never stops.
Oh man, I it hurts me to know that there is so much left he had to contribute, but his legacy will never die. And I mean, winning an Oscar, they don't give Oscars to anybody. He
Yeah,
just,
you can't just work your way into that.
and just the ultimate when he called out that on his, I remember his Oscar speech, that Fox News reporter who said to LeBron, all you NBA players should not, basically talk about when they were trying to use their platform to talk about social justice
Yeah.
issues, and then the Fox News reporter says, "Shut up and dribble." Then he wins.
Yeah.
Then he wins an Oscar, and he said that, "Oh, I thought we were only able to shut up and dribble." What an awesome flex, and just the ultimate between him, Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter's in the world, the Rocks, who are just these incredible, obviously athletes, but incredible human beings to show the importance of pushing your limits, going as far as you can, and have that mentality to never fall down, to always win. It's just, it hits home, and we're never going to forget that. And another person who was like that, another person we've talked about often, man, this man, even though he's had quite a few last few years, still, again, one of my biggest influences as a content creator, as a human being, is Kanye West. Kanye West is, he's had quite the legacy lately, and but still one of the greatest creators of all time. Can you, again, just like Kobe, can you talk to me about Kanye West, what he means to you, what he's provided, and what would you say to those people who have criticized him lately?
I think everybody deserves criticism. Nobody is infallible. Like I said, everybody is able to be critiqued. Just like LeBron, just like Kobe, just like Michael, they would when Michael's father died, they're criticizing him. You know, when there's always going to be people. Oh, what I was getting at was that there's a version of unfair scrutiny and unfair critique.
Yeah. As that emphasized, Kanye, what would you have to say to those people who have Kanye unfair scrutiny?
Man, I don't even know. I really wouldn't know, because people always come at me because they know I still listen and respect and support Kanye West. So
same here.
At a certain point, I don't really know what to tell anybody. I think it's totally fine. It's all right to not like somebody. It's all right to not like Kanye West. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think that, again, to the theme that we were touching on, is listening to certain narratives before digging deeper yourself. But I could understand, like, there's certain things he does and says that people don't agree with, and I think that's fine. It's just as simple as that. If you don't agree with him, then it's all good. Whatever. If you don't like what he said, you have the right to not listen to him. All good.
What's your favorite Kanye song, or some of your favorite Kanye songs?
I can't even tell you. I like all of his. There's more songs of his. You know what? I've been listening to. Do you ever hear any of his leaked stuff that like never released?
Sometimes it depends on it. I've heard a couple of unreleased tracks. Which one is this?
I like, it's called Hurricane. That song is so fire.
I haven't heard that. Wait, Hurricane. Actually, did he do that with 30 Seconds to Mars?
Nah.
Chance? No. Okay.
Nah.
Yeah, I'll look that up as soon as I'm done here. But Kanye West Hurricane just goes hard.
There's a lot of his songs. I like Hurricane.
I love all those albums, man. I really loved. Why can't I think of the gospel album? I can't believe I'm blanking on it. Jesus from Jesus the King, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, College Dropout, Graduation, 808s and Heartbreaks. I think Kanye's a great example of an artist reinventing himself. You ever notice if you put all his albums together, they're all different colors? Just shows
I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a great thing to have with it, and it just shows how he's evolved as an artist. And even in something gospel music that has such a specific audience, he really figured out a way to make it sound cool and mainstream and rap about Jesus. And it sounds not campy or nothing. It's just genuine, great music.
It's great. I've never heard a bad Kanye album, like, ever.
Never.
All of his albums are fire. 808s was fire. Jesus is fire. Pablo is one of my favorite albums. I like all the albums. Jesus is King is great. Even the unreleased shit is fire. I got mad unreleased shit.
Hell yeah. And another one, just the last person I wanted to mention that's been a big deal and influence is Tupac Shakur.
Yes. Yo, bro, I got pee real bad again, man.
All right, we can take a quick break with that.
Yeah, like I'll be 2 minutes. I drink a lot of water. You feel me?
I feel you, bro. All right, we'll be right back with Gabe Mills.
Water. I got to put my mask on to go to the bathroom, man.
All right, we'll be right back. I'm great. And we're back with Gabe Mills. Gabe, yeah, I would like to know, Tupac has been a major influence on you. Is that right?
That's true, yes.
Can you tell me the impact he made with you in your artistry and then as yourself personally and professionally?
Yeah, Tupac, it seems to be a thread, but it's just true. He was also one of those people who allowed himself to be complicated. And as just human beings, one of the first points you made was that everybody has something interesting about them.
Yeah.
Nobody is a flat piece of paper. You know, we're like multifaceted and layered. And there's a lot of parts to us of who we are. Pac embodies that. I embody that. A lot of people embody that. He was able to express that at a very high, unfiltered, raw level and cut straight to it. So seeing that again, there's times where as an artist, you might have an idea, but you might be tempted to find a precedent to give yourself permission to be able to do the idea that you thought of. So you research and you find if somebody else did this thing so that it validates that you're not tripping, or it validates that you have someone to refer to, or when they ask you what this is about, you say, da da da, and Tupac said, or and this person said, and so it makes it sound that much better. Sorry. That's the wrong way to do things, is what I was going to say. But it's a temptation that I know a lot of artists have.
Yeah.
But what I will say, though, there's what's called the anxiety of influence, where undeniably there's an influence that other people have on us, especially the artists and the things that we respect, admire, listen to, surround ourselves in. At a certain point, you have to find who you are. Who's Gabriel in the crowd of Tupac, Kanye, Kobe Bryant? How do I individuate myself against the influences that I have? Where do I find me amongst all of that? Amongst all the things that you and I just discussed, amongst all the people, all my life experiences. Who are you really if all we are is everything that you've been taught and everything that you've been around? Are you just your environment, or where am I interjecting my own individuality about who I am? It's a complicated thing, is what I'm getting at. So somebody like Pac or all the other people I listed, they contributed to my life in a way that we had a connection. There was a connection that I felt resonated with me. You know what I mean? And we had this relationship.
Yes.
And those are people who I'll keep close to me. It's like knowing who your family is, knowing who your lineage of artists are.
Who helps you make a better person.
Yeah. You look at that for guidance, but you also, at a certain point, you say, that's what Pac would do, but I wouldn't do that. That's what Ye would do, but I wouldn't do that. That's what Kobe would do, but Gabriel would do something different.
That's a part of that originality.
Exactly. You look at those people as people who've done things that you respect and admire and say, that's them, and I respect it. But I take what I will from that, and I be me. So
do you think
that's how I feel about, well, go ahead.
I'm just saying, that's how you feel about like artists in general right now, or what was
you saying? Is that how I feel about?
No, I was just saying, what were you about to say? What was the end of your point?
don't remember, bro. Just go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, do you think if for someone you haven't mentioned yet, are there any artists right now, whether music, acting, painting, illustrating, that we haven't mentioned yet, who are pretty good at creating their own image, creating their own message, and being themselves at that? Like if you asked me, and someone I've tried to put you on and emphasize, Kendrick Lamar, I think is a great example of that. I think J. Cole, very similar. I know those two are linked together in that sense. Do you think there's any other artists that, again, we haven't mentioned that you think are actually doing the message you were preaching and creating their own identity and brand?
Yeah, a lot of people are. I don't want to name any names though, because there's the reason I don't want to name names is related to the idea of anxiety of influence that I just mentioned a second ago. The more and more I'll name the people who I respect, admire, the painters I think about, they're in my head so much. We pay rent. There's a cost for everything we do in life. And I pay a cost on my brain every day. And sometimes I pay the price of letting things in. I've been paying price on it for things to come in. And more each day, I cut the rent. It's over. I'm kicking people out of my head. It's not in my head no more. I respect it. It's all good, but this is in my head too much. So sometimes I'll be at the damn canvas and I'm painting. I'm like, oh shit. And then I start thinking of a painter that I like a lot. I'm like, oh man, this is starting to get into that territory, but that's not what I want. So more and more I have to remove that. Those artists, they're all great artists, but I don't want to name any names because of that reason.
I think that's
also
valid point.
Anybody listening might be apt to say, oh, since that person likes those artists, I'll look them up and maybe I should like those artists too. So it's very tough.
I hear that. Yo, man, just a few more things before we wrap it up. Yo, Gabe, one thing that's funny about you that we haven't mentioned already, switching topics, is I think you're a good prankster. Would you consider yourself that, or at least you were at one point? Maybe you still are, but or maybe that phase is done.
What you mean prankster, bro?
Like, you just like back in the past, like do a pranks, like whether when we used to prank phone call a certain spot or stuff like that. Do you feel that that's accurate? I could be wrong with that. Do you think, or at least maybe there was a time where you were a prankster like that, or not?
Look, I'm not going to speak too much about that, but what I will say is that any phone call I made or any pizza I might have or might not have sent to anybody's house, that's what was supposed to happen. And I'm not putting no labels, and that's it.
Yo, man. I'm the same way. I remember once I pranked phone called a pizza place in like 7th grade. We picked this guy, ordered 20 pizzas, waited 10 minutes. Like, nah, we can't do this. Called the pizza place back. And the guy I just said, sorry, I can't do it. And the guy's like, you think it's funny to call the pizza place?
Yeah.
Hung up on me.
Yeah.
But as you said, no, that may or may not have happened. You'll plead the fifth to that one.
Yes, it's all good.
Was there any ever like a lighthearted prank you ever did, or like I don't know, you ordered somebody on purpose?
Nah, the thing is, everybody want to call me a prankster, but I'm not a prankster. People be pranking me. People prank me, bro. Yo, one of my homies, he owed me like $200 every time I asked. He started dodging and ducking. Thinking it's a game. And then he made a whole rap song about how he didn't pay me my Venmo.
What? You made a diss track on how you getting away with it?
How he didn't pay my Venmos. I'm not the prankster, bro. People need to narrative. Too many people think I'm the prankster. I'm not. I be getting pranked. But we not. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm get tracked. You know what I'm saying? See who want to pull a prank now. You feel me?
I do. That I'm glad we made that a little more clear, and thanks for being honest with the candor with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What You know, when was the Gabe? When was the last time you laughed really hard? Besides our conversation, or sometimes recently you were just started to die laughing, or in recent history, what was the last time? Or you could say the times that you laughed really hard at college with something I did or something like that.
There's this guy. I'm gonna give you a list of these names. There's this guy. I don't know his name, but he's an artist. And there was somebody here giving a lecture, and he was here at Yale giving a lecture about this artist. I don't remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying that he was like, yo, this is the most serious fucking guy. Like, I've never even seen him smile.
Okay.
Like, he just keeps like all the time. You could say the most funniest thing to him, every situation he did. And then one day he asked him, he's like, yo, bro, like, what's up? Like, I've never even seen him crack a smile. Like, what?
Yeah.
And the guy, he said, this world is so crazy and there's so many hilarious things in this world that are so sad and awful. If I start laughing, I will die. I will literally die of laughter. I'll never stop laughing.
I don't mean to laugh at that, but like, dang.
But yeah, there's a truth. There's a deep thing to it, because if somebody, in order for somebody to laugh, there's what makes something funny? You know what I'm saying? Like what makes something able for me to even be able to laugh so hard? There has to be maybe a partial truth to it, a partial reality, a part of escapism, a part of all of that mixed in with how much I'm laughing. Of course, I know I laugh a lot. I laugh with my friends, but stepping back and thinking about it for a second, what allows anything to be funny? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the backdrop of where comedy could happen is such a crazy world. So with that, I laugh pretty hard often. I don't know.
Same here. I find so many things. That's a great sense of humor and stuff like that. I mean, hopefully I made you laugh a lot in college, I think.
It was driving me crazy. Bro, you were having me dying laughing and you had off. It was so much for you, man.
What an emotional roller coaster we bring. Well, for any time I upset you and made you sad or mad, I do apologize for that.
Nah, it's all good. It's not even a thing.
But dude, like between me, Brad, and Sam.
Yeah. Shout outs to Brad. Shout outs to Sam. Do you have Sam on here yet?
Not yet, man. He's agreed, but I'm scheduling him. Try to get him really, really soon. I want to put a date on him, but he told me, I know he'll do it. I asked him, you want to do the show? He's like, yo, I want to do your last show ever. I'm like, bro, we're gonna have to wait like 80 years for that. But I know that's just his way. He told me I had to get a publicist to agree. Then he told me I have to pay him. I'm like, so that's just his way of having fun with me. But I'll have him on really soon.
I ain't gonna front. Everything he said is true though. You know what I'm saying? That's being very professional. You should have.
Pay you.
Hell, bro, what? Yo, man, I didn't ask for no money because you my boy.
I appreciate that.
Somebody had to ask to do some if Joe Rogan or somebody,
right?
Come on, you gotta cut some check. You taking hours of my time. I gotta get this money. You see, I got a lot of paintings I gotta work on. You know what I'm saying? We gotta have the right publicists writing about it. We gotta make sure it's marketed to the right people. Blah blah blah. Yo, Sam he's doing it right.
Just want to ask, just before we say goodbye, I really would love to hear your views on this. It's called the Proust Questionnaire, bro. There's just these 10 questions that are both they're quick but they're deep. And if you don't mind me pulling it up.
Mm-hmm. And
as I'm doing this again, if you want to check out Gabe's work, you could go check it out at GabeMills.com or GabrielMills.com. Go to GabrielMills.com to check out his work. And if you want to reach out to him regarding his work as well, you can email him at GabrielMillsArt, all one word, @gmail.com.
Yes.
All right. So the Proust Questionnaire, Gabe. 10 questions, real deep. And I'm ready when you are. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is going to be really, really great. So my first question, Gabe, what is your favorite word?
Yes.
Good. Good one. What's your least favorite word?
I had to say something. Truly, my favorite word is no. But
Mhm.
I had this week. I tried to switch it to say my favorite word is yes.
Mhm.
My least favorite word probably would have been yes. But I just want to throw that in there. So what I will say is, favorite word, yes. Least favorite word is a word.
Yeah.
Least favorite word.
You hate the word I like.
Yes.
This question is not a sexual question, but it's
The
just more
fuck?
about the. It's not. But my question to you is, what turns you on? What turns you on in this world, Gabe? Was it being in the studio? Was it being around family and friends? Is it what turns you on in this world?
The sun.
The sun turns you on.
Yeah.
All right. What turns you off?
Carelessness.
Wow. Really good one. Really, really good one. Oh man. My next question to you, Gabe, is what sound or noise do you love?
I like the sound of. I don't know how to describe it. I just know what it sounds like.
All right. I could appreciate that.
But I'd say one of my favorite songs is by Brian Eno. It's called "An Ending." That entire song is one of my favorite sounds.
Okay. Respected Brian Eno of the what's his claim to fame? I mean, obviously besides being an artist, he was also oh no, never mind. I thought he had like a connection with the Beatles or something, but I was wrong.
He worked with
He did work with him, right?
No, he worked with a lot of people. I don't know. I doubt it, but he's worked with a lot of people.
Okay, but the Brian Eno song is a sound or noise you love. What sound or noise do you hate?
I hate phones.
All right, good answer. You hate phones and the sound of phones. I assume sound and noise of phones. Sweet, sweet. What's your favorite curse word?
Give me a list. What do you consider curse words?
List of curse words. All right. If you Google curse words, the words that come out, um, shit, fuck, asshole, dick, bitch, the C word, um, motherfucker, dick, bullshit, cocksucker, twat, pussy, prick. The sound bites will come from those, but those are some of the curse words, I guess.
I don't like any of those words. My favorite. All right. Favorite curse word would be pass.
Pass. Fuck the curse
Pass.
word pass.
No, I'm passing the question.
Okay. Let's pretend curse word is a pass. No, never mind. You're right. Okay.
Well, say that. Whatever you want. This whatever. Go ahead. I don't care.
No, you're right. You're right. It's your word. So we pass on that. It's totally fine. Now, my next question. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
There's a quote in the song called Rocket by the Smashing Pumpkins, which is one of my favorite songs. And in that song, they say, I miss me, I miss everything I'll never be. I've always loved that because I have a lot of great life ambitions, and I know that just the amount of time that we have on this earth, there's just not enough time in one lifetime to give the love to everything I want to give the way it deserves. So I would like to be an astronaut. I'd like to be a doctor. I'd like to do all these things. So that's how you know the thing that I decided to do most, I have such a great amount of passion for it to say, I won't do all these other things that I have a lot of inspiration to do. Everything is, it's just like being married. I'm married to the game. I'm married to painting. It's just like being married. It's like, yo, I won't be with any other woman except for you. Everybody else is a dub. I love you so much. That's how I feel about painting. So I really can't tell you.
That's a beautiful answer. I like that. Is there, for the 9th question is, what profession would you not like to do?
My instinct was to say be president, but I don't want to even put that in the air, only because I don't want to approach anything with fear. So if I was to say I don't want to do it, there's a sense of fear that I won't be able to do it to the best of my ability. Or if I was to say I don't want to be a race car driver because I might be scared to crash, I don't want to pass.
Pass on that one too.
Yeah.
No worries. Okay. My last question, Gabe, and this question in particular, I'm very, very interested to hear your answer on this. So my last question before we wrap this up, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
In the vision of the Last Judgment, they say, when you arrive at the gates and you're getting ready to be judged, God will say to you, I was hungry and you fed me. I was starving and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me water. I didn't have any clothes and you clothed me. And for that, you receive eternal paradise or whatever. And then on the contrary, they say, when I was starving, you turned the other way. When I needed water, you didn't help me at all. When I needed shelter, you didn't take me in. And for that, you are getting sentenced to eternal damnation. And they'll say, yo, what you talking about? I never saw you in my life. What you talking about? And God will say, well, I am all of the people down there. Those are all my brothers and sisters. So if you turned your back to them, that means you turned your back against me too. So I am them. I am everybody. So with that, at the gates, there's the judgment to judge your character. When I get up there, I would love for God to say, Gabriel, you did your best, and your best was exactly what I wanted, what I had in plan for you. So for that, you will receive paradise.
Boy, that's one of the greatest answers to any of my questions on this podcast. Thank you for that, Gabe. And well, like I said, we've been at it for a long time. It felt like 20 minutes. I hope you've had a pleasure, had as much of a pleasure as I have. And is there anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Yeah, all I want to say is the way that we experience life right now is totally nonlinear. Everything happens in such complex terms. I say time ain't real often because the way that I experience a memory, the way that I'm talking to you right now, while I'm talking to you at the same time, I have like 10 other thoughts from 2012, 2013, 2017, 2016, all conjoined within 1 second of what we call time. The way we experience things is totally nonlinear. And to find my place in this world as just a simple being is just not possible. We're not simple people. As simple as they like to make you or I or anybody seem, you're not. So what I'd like to say is just reject that notion and accept that you are complex and be open to expressing that in your work. And when I mean complex, that means something different for everybody. What it means to me is that I have a lot of interest. I have a lot of interest in different ways of working. I have interest of painting in a certain type of way. I have an interest in painting in multiple types of ways happening at the same time. And I know that could confuse people. But the premise of that is that this is how we experience life. We have so many images coming at us all the time, so many thoughts coming at us all the time. If you ever stop and just try to just learn how to breathe, try to stop and learn how to experience the moment right now, how to stop and learn how to experience you drinking a gallon of water slowly, just only focusing on this. But the way that we do things, you drink the water, you put it down, you scroll on your phone, you watch the Pornhub, you jerk off, you smoke a cigarette, you call your friend up, you talk shit, you gossip, you go back to work, repeat, recycle, blah, 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 blah. It's like so much distraction. So with all that, there's so many things in the way of us discovering who we really are. And there's so many things telling you who you're supposed to be. And there's so many things also people preaching that you shouldn't do this, or you should do this, or trying to bash you for being straight, or trying to bash you for being gay, or trying to bash you for being a white man. There's nothing wrong with being a white person. There's nothing wrong with being gay. There's nothing wrong with being black. If somebody is born as being straight, being white, and being a man, why are you demonizing them for that? It's a beautiful thing. If I was born and I had the blessing to make it to this planet Earth, and I happened to be born by Jewish parents into a Jewish family, I would be proud of that. If I was born to be in an Arabic home, I would be proud of that. There's nothing wrong with being who you are. The problem is trying to put yourself above or below. And everybody's trying to do things to get us all confused. I'm saying define your world for yourself and respect others for who they are. And that's all I have to say.
Those are some profound words that I will not forget, Gabe. Seriously. And with that, it has been nothing but a pleasure. It really has. I could compliment you all day, but Gabe, you mean a lot to me. You will have extreme amount of my respect, and you are forever one of my biggest influences in this world. I love you, bro. I hope we could do this again. And thanks for everything, Gabe. Seriously, you deserve everything that comes your way, and you'll forever be an influence to so many people in this world, and you will make your mark.
Absolutely. You too. Same. Likewise, brother. I love you. We'll catch up again soon.
Can't wait for it. With that, and again, you could check out Gabe's work. You go to GabrielMills.com to look at the amazing stuff he pulls off. If you want to reach out to him, that's Gabe. Reach out by emailing him at GabrielMillsArt, one word, @gmail.com. With that, God bless you, Gabe. I'll talk to you real soon. And thanks for everything, brother.
All right, bro. Peace.
Peace.